Brothers and sisters, man, we made it. We're back. Let's go ahead and say this though. First off, the word heritage, by definition, it means an inheritance or uh, that's the word I'll use, inheritance. But the other words they use are birthright, patrimony, legacy, bequest, endowment. Now, while most people will be like, black people's legacy in this country is not misery, I have to ask people this right here. And I'm going to pull it up so that way can't nobody say I'm tripping. How much? One moment. Pulling up a specific little thing here. And I'm not even talking about black and white wealth gaps. I'm just talking about what we own. Let's get here. National. Maybe they'll have that that percentage I'm looking for. Mm, no. No, no, no. Don't worry. Everybody's going to know what I'm about to say is true. Uh, it's been long said that black people in this nation own when we first got here. Let's just monitor whatever date you give it. It doesn't matter. The only time it would be different is before pre-colonial or pre-attempted colonial times, where in which there are no there is no empirical data evidence that would suggest there was a great mirth or heath of wealth among the native aboriginal indigenous people. Not to say that they didn't collect gold, silver, or other precious materials, not to say that they didn't have their own trading post and their own cities. um, it's just the way that the story is told is that they were savage and that they were uncivilized individuals who had no established anything, even though there are scant histories that do rebuttal that. Let's just keep going. I don't want to get too far into this because I'm at one of them .orgs. No, the National Bureau of Economic Research. I'll just put that this link in there right now. And people are like, why is our heritage misery? And it's like, it's simple because we're not talking about anything different. See, in this land, and I know people are like, and I'm gonna make a great point real quick. You know, the Super Bowl just took place, right? Then the parade a few days ago. For whatever reason, some individuals thought it would be better to shoot in the crowds of people during a festivity. I mean, for me, it's just I'm not surprised or shocked. I'm just like, well, I guess, we just can't have nothing. But that's just one of those things, though, where it tells me. that misery truly does love company. You have to be at a level of miserable and hateful to your own life to go and to do anything like that, where your life is not presently on the line. I'm talking about if you went out and you didn't seek this out, and this is somebody that you call a so-called enemy. If you too are of the thinking and righteous kind of mind, right now today we'll let this go. But if you're like anything goes, it's on site. That's that sort of ignorance. You follow what I'm saying? And that has to be done away with because there's no room for it. They can't want to live in peace when they want to live in peace and then want to bring destruction upon somebody when they see fit. That's not going to work. That being said, Black people in this nation have owned less than 1% of the wealth the entire time they've been here. And that's saying something. Even if they try to tell me that we own a whole 1% now, I don't see where. Because what's the right way to say this? The best way I can say it is like this. You can't convince me that there's all these homeless Black people and that we have access to more than less than 1%. We're talking about homeless Black people all across the board in America. So when you have that sort of situation playing out, um, and yeah, coming soon, I got my little things. I just been moving slow. Well, not moving slow, just been some hiccups in the road. But I don't let nothing stop me. I just keep doing my thing. You got to just keep doing your thing. You can't let them stop you. You can't be discouraged. But the inheritance in our country, America, because they want me to claim this. I'm claiming it for namesake. Okay, I'm claiming it for namesake. So the inheritance of Black people in our country, America, is misery because we're only allowed to be in a position where a scant few are able to ascend an imaginary ladder. It doesn't really actually exist. It's an enchantment and an illusion where they remove them from their known circumstances and put them in circumstances they know otherwise they would never be in. Many believe it's because of their hard work, their determination, their will, and their skills, while some will chalk it up to the fact that they knew the right people, and others are a combination of those. While all others from the outside looking in wonder what exactly did they do to get to where they're at. And like I said, they will tell you a plethora of anything. It's their job to. Funniest part is this: you have people who work multiple jobs, right? They invest into things. Um, they don't have inside traders, so if they lose money, they lose money, right? Oh, this is a safe. This is safe. This is safe. They invest in those things. It even starts to think. They even start to think that it's looking up, just for the rug to be pulled from under them. It's an illusion, right on. So when I say that about Black people, I want them to know that like I'm not judging you for where you're at. I'm not judging you. I judge what you do for sure. I'm gonna judge what you do. I don't care how you feel about that. What you do will be judged. I don't have to judge you outright because if you're not the only one engaging in that activity, that's a wasted judgment on you. But the activity that you engaged in is worthy of judgment. And if that judgment means that the practitioner ought be punished or rewarded, however you want to put it, then let that be the case. However, we have a culture of people in this land that we call ours. I don't call it mine. Y'all know totally against that whole calling America our. It's not our. We live here. We live here. That's about it. We live here. That's about it. I I'll give them that much. Right on. But other than that, to be a second rate, a permanent second, third rate citizen forever is not really living. You follow what I'm saying? And to call a place like that your home, you have to have antiquated yourself to the lowest rung of society. Um, to own less than 1% of all the wealth, and to know that every piece of money that there is to be made in this land, your ancestors before them, and your ancestors before them, so on, had a piece to do with that. Everybody can't say, I had somebody who did this, or I had somebody who did that. Everybody doesn't have that in their bloodline, right on? But if you're here today, then the blessing is that you're here. But you have to know that the inheritance that you took up in this country was misery. I didn't say that there wasn't joy ever. I didn't say that you couldn't be jubilated. I didn't say that there wasn't a room for mirth making. That's not what I said. What I said was that the misery is an inherited thing, because we have to look at individuals who we have to question, would they be like that if we were never in this land? Or were they always doomed to be a messed up person? Right on? So when you have people who talk about, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. Let me give y'all a prime example. So I passed that little course, right? I got my national registry of food safety professionals, right? Blase blase. Good for umpteen years. Okay, get me. Follow me. In order to be a food safety manager, right? In any state, well, especially in this state, you have to go through certain things. Now, I have this, I have a well of knowledge, well of information. I have places who want me to come in and work for minimum, and they'll gladly offer somebody else $10 more. You follow what I'm saying? We inherit misery because we didn't inherit righteousness in this country because they don't treat us right. That's a miserable thing for me to know. Like, you would offer me, or you would say, well, this is what we want to pay somebody. But it's like, well, even at this position, I can't come in and work for that. I mean, even if the minimum is way higher here than somewhere else, I'm like, nah, I got to get look, I have to get this much. In order for me to work for less, I have to get like the tips have to be there where it's going to balance out. Because if I'm taking a flat fee, I have to get this much per hour. So that way, every so many hours, I get this much money, no matter what. It doesn't matter. And people be like, that's greed. No, it's not. That's called looking out for yourself. Right on. If you want to make more than depends on where you live, and it depends on how you get paid. But if you're working in the food industry and you want to get made and you want to get paid more than 25 grand a year, and and you're really pushing for the 45, 50, and up, you got to be smart, and you got to say, I need X amount of dollars per hour. It doesn't matter, because all the money that's being thrown around, they have to consider that. They can't just say, oh, you're tripping. But in this land, we've inherited a system where people can mistreat us. I didn't say it was right. I didn't say I agreed with it, but we're in a land where if this is really our home, if this, come on, how can they offer you so much more less if you haven't inherited, if your inheritance is not, if your legacy is not misery? So you've watched the wealth. Listen to me. America has so much money that even after they fought the Civil War, they still have the Roaring Twenties. Are y'all aware that there's nations right now that have fought one civil war? We're talking about wherever you want to pick on the earth that have fought one civil war. Their economy has never recovered ever. Never. Let's look at Haiti. Let's look at Haiti, right? That was a civil conflict between them and the French. Whenever you get done, right on. It was in a land that they live in, that they say that they're from, okay, versus people who lived in the land. It's a civil conflict. That being said, let me know when Haiti came back from that. How about the Philippines? Let me know when they came back from that. Right on. I could keep naming places where they had one civil conflict and then they just fell on and just compiled them because they realized they would never catch up economically. It was literally numerically impossible. And even just to get to a position where they would be better off, they would always be at the lowest end. So they said, forget it. We're better off just warring with one another. That's crazy. But that's the earth we live on, where you have individuals who can tell themselves things like, do you guys see how they lionized the young Emmett Till's mother? How his mother was made into, because remember they made the movie Till, right? But if you guys ever watched any of it, you would realize real quick, like it's about him, but it's really more or less about his mother and her actions that she took afterwards. And I don't have a real issue with that, but I don't think that they should have. I don't think that the movie should have been premised on him. You know what I'm saying? Uh, uh, it's a crazy little flick, man. Let me share the screen real quick so that way you'll know what to look for when you see it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, man, it's a cool little joint. It's messed up because, like I said, they did their best to make it about you know uh they did their best to make it about and you'll even see like right here. I'm gonna show you the joint, the little picture on it real quick, and then you'll see what I'm saying, bro. You'll be like, oh man, let me share that real quick. Mm, okay. So that's that right there. That's the movie. You know what I'm saying? That's the Till joint. Like for that to be the case, right? And that, I mean, they made it look. Now they're telling us. Now the movie's name is Till. Till is a profoundly emotional and cinematic film about the true story of Mamie Till Mobley's relentless pursuit of justice for her 14-year-old son, Emmett Till, who in 1955 was lynched while visiting his cousins in Mississippi. Okay, man. Uh, look. the shit is so wild, right? That they'll, you know what I'm saying? Like they'll take what's supposed to be righteous and then they'll try to remove, all the things that really do matter from it. And they're trying to lionize something as opposed to, but understand though, that's a miserable thing. Anybody who knows about Emmett Till knows that they beat that boy's face in. They broke his whole face. They beat him to nothing. You know? Uh I just, for me personally, I look at things like that differently and I understand them for what they are, you know. So I already know that the real life, everything that we go through is based in something that people don't even want to talk about. Because, like I said, if you own less than 1% of something, and like, let's just do the math, right? I got a, I got a penny right here. 1 second. Got a jar full of change. Let's take this penny right here, and let's say this one penny represents the worth that we don't have. Follow what I'm saying? If there's 100 pennies in a dollar, our our worth to the dollar is less than this penny. I need y'all to put that into your noggins. That the 42, 43 million some odd so-called black people, right? If America's worth a whole 4 quarters, one, two, three, four, right? If it's worth four of these, it's a dollar. Our value as a whole group, I need you to understand. I didn't now I need for black people to really get this and appreciate this part. Because it doesn't seem like it's like that. Because they're able to pay their bills, pay their mortgage, pay their rent, pay their car notes, pay their insurance. They're able to pay on their student loans, right? They're able to they can afford things, right? But what if I told you that everybody that you know who's making money, okay, this is deep. We're all sharing money from less than a penny. Okay? Let that sink in. Let it really burn into your mind for a second. And I'm going to use this analogy while I do this whole thing right here so that way people don't miss out on the blessing. Again, this is 4 quarters. Okay, this is a dollar. This is 100 pennies. These four of these equal 100 of these. I'm saying that for whatever other groups, it doesn't matter. Nothing that they don't even worry about what another group has. It doesn't matter. If you actually are a true real to life Negro, Afro person, black person, if you identify as black and you go through black people's struggles, understand me. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. You're pulling your resources from less than one of these. If you ever wonder why people struggle, if you ever wonder why people go through what they go through, it's because of that. See, they're so called, and the misery of that is what drives people to go crazy every day. But they don't understand that. They weren't taught that. So therefore, their minds can't put it into play and say, okay, I'm pulling from a lesser resource off tops. Because no matter what, the society is designed to make it to that's by design. That is by design. It was by design they locked up a whole bunch of black men and took them up out of the community. Right on? That was by design. Right. So that way, when they imported males from other countries, those black men who would have done those jobs were out the way. Exactly. So now their children are forced into a life. Guess what their children inherit? That's right. Misery. That's their inheritance. That's what they get. It's what we get for being born here. I'm not saying it's better anywhere else. People are like, well, America's 100 pennies is greater than a lot of other places' 100 pennies. No doubt. My pushback for you is this, though. While you live in this land and you go through what you go through, do you think it's right that other groups who've never given what you've given to this land, the blood, the sweat, the tears, all that you are and all that you will ever have has been given to this nation? And you're telling me that after the end of it, since it's worth four of these, how do we only have value like this? Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. How does that numerically make sense? Now, once again, I don't go around here yelling, hooting, hollering, white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. I just don't believe they're better than us. I believe in what the scripture says. I believe in the Most High God. So I'm not going to deviate and change my feelings to make somebody feel better so that way they can try to make sense of what doesn't make sense. Right. They want you to believe that the European came over there and took you by force when they did not. You were sold. You were sold. Okay? You were sold. They want you to believe that there was a military struggle and there was not. They want you to believe that there was a, um, a cataclysmic event in the so called continent, civil discord among the tribes that allowed for this to take. No, it was all them doing it single. They were all a monolith when they sold us to them, and the few of them, or the lots of them, whoever they would have been, who spoke against it, got their asses thrown right together with us. All right, you got something to say about it? Get your ass on the boat too. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So if your value is this penny, less than it, I mean, less than a pence. I don't even think people even understand that. That is how you have what you have. Let me just pull up some old stuff real quick, right? Some old stuff, because sometimes people forget that I have all these files, all these websites where um, they talk about things, and sometimes people forget that. Hey, I already talked about this years ago. It is what it is. I started a bunch of these movements. Didn't nobody talk about not being no African and all that? Look, they claim to be Africans. I no. Their delineation movement, why it won't work is because they still claiming to be these. I'm not them. I'm from a whole nother genus group. Science says it. They say it. You know what? I believe them. Why should I argue with them? Why should I be mad because these dudes are telling us that we're not them? Why should I be angry about that? Why should I even be upset? If a Chinese dude tells a black man he's not Chinese, you're not going to get upset with him about that. But because these individuals have black ass skin and little BBs on their head, you get upset because they'll tell you that you're not the same. Nigga, they're doing you a favor. They're telling you the truth. We'll start right here, and then we'll pick up in some of my other less troubled areas. You one moment. Bloop, bloop. Alrighty. Oh, that's funny. Sign up to learn how to row. I don't want to learn how to row. I'm good. Back up, Smithsonian. Damn. The misguided focus on 1619 as the beginning of slavery in the U.S. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me blow it up a little bit. There we go. Damages our understanding of American history. The year the first enslaved Africans were brought to Jamestown is drilled into students' memories, but overemphasizing this date distorts history. Mm, how that work? In 1619, 20 and odd Negroes arrived off the coast of Virginia and were brought for victual by labor hungry English colonists. Labor hungry meaning slave hungry, meaning they didn't want to do the work, they wanted somebody else to do the work. The story of these captive Africans has set the stage for countless scholars and teachers interested in telling the story of slavery in English North America. Unfortunately, it has not been the best place to begin a meaningful inquiry into the history of African peoples in America. Certainly, there is a story to be told that begins in 1619, but it is neither well studied but it is neither well suited to help us understand slavery as an institution, nor to help us better grasp the complicated place of African peoples in the early modern Atlantic world. For too long, the focus on 1619 has led the general public and scholars alike to ignore more important issues and worse, to silently accept unquestioned assumptions that continue to impact us in remarkably consequential ways. As a historical signifier, 1619 may be more insidious than instructive. Uh-oh. The overstated significance of 1619, still a common fixture in American history curriculum, begins with the questions most of us reflexively ask when we consider the first documented arrival of a handful of people from Africa in a place that will one day become the United States of America. First, what was the status of the newly arrived African men and women? Were they slaves, servants, something else? And second, clearly they're slaves because they're getting sold on the auction block. That's neither here nor there. And second, as Winthrop Jordan wondered in the preface in his 1968 classic, White Over Black, what did the white inhabitants of Virginia think when these dark-skinned people were rowed ashore and traded for provisions? Were they shocked? Were they frightened? Did they notice these people were black? If so, did they care? Stop right there for half a second. Let's emphasize something. Do you see how this dude is trying to move the goalpost? It doesn't matter when people were brought here. It doesn't matter who was where, what, who thought what. None of that matters. What matters is the idea that you have an identity given to you by individuals who won't even say why we were really brought here. In truth, these questions fail to approach the subject of Africans in America in a historically responsible way. None of these queries conceive a new or None of these queries conceive of the newly arrived Africans as actors in their own right. Well, they were slaves. So how could you act in your own right and be a slave? You see how confusing that? See the gobbledygook? Misery is all we inherited, y'all. We have individuals who want to try to tell us that one date distorts. It doesn't distort the what happened. You're trying to change and move the goalpost as if something that took place before this, even it doesn't matter. Like I said, y'all, if the people who were here before had cities, trading posts, had a full blown way of life, right? As far as we're taught, they had no agency over their story. So, how could people who were slaves be actors in their own right? Let's just keep going. These questions also assume that the arrival of these peoples was an exceptional historical moment, and they reflect the worries and concerns of the world we inhabit rather than shedding useful light on the unique challenges of life in the early 17th century. There are important historical correctives to the misplaced marker of 1619 that can help us better ask the that can that can help us better question, that can better help us that can help us ask better questions about the past. I don't need no better questions. Okay. What I need is for y'all to realize that I need a trillion, a whole trillion, eh, gold, silver, carbuncle, rubies, emerald, nickel, blase blase, blase blase, blase blase, etc., etc. Right? But none of your physical fiat. I want none of that. Most obviously, 1619 was not the first time Africans could be found in the English Atlantic colony, and it certainly wasn't the first time people of African descent made their mark and imposed a will on the land that would someday be part of the United States. As early as May 1616, blacks from the West Indies were already at work in Bermuda providing expert knowledge about cultivation of tobacco. There was also suggestive evidence that scores of Africans plundered from the Spanish were aboard a fleet under the command of Sir Francis Drake when he arrived at Roanoke Island in 1586. 1526, enslaved Africans were part of a Spanish expedition to establish an outpost in North America, of the North American coast and present day South Carolina. Those Africans launched a rebellion in November of that year and effectively destroyed the Spanish settlers' ability to sustain the settlement, which they abandoned a year later, nearly 100 years before fully able to destroy European colonial ventures. Stop right there. Saying that none of this ever happened, right? Where is the empirical evidence? See, they want to call somebody African, 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 African. See, you see what I'm saying? I don't have to claim that. Just because you tell me that. If I call you a bastard, does that make it true? Just because we put the word there, we normalize the word, and now you have to take it, right? Does that make it true? Okay. When they call black, like I told you, I don't go around calling people human. I call them you either, even if I don't think you're a person, I'd rather call you a person than call you a human. That's far more formal. Okay. Calling you a human is akin to calling somebody a kid. A kid is a baby goat. A kid is not a person. A true to life kid is not a person. A kid is a baby goat. Let's just keep reading. These stories highlight additional problems while exaggerating the importance of 1619. Now stop right here, y'all. I know y'all done heard other dudes talk about stuff like this, but I have videos. I have video evidence of me talking about this stuff years ago, like 2018, 2019, and scattered parts of 2017. Not this article in particular, but just the whole 1619 concept and how I knew 1619 it was not 2019 was not the 400-year mark because of our boy Benjamin Banneker, who would invent the clock, and the clock would essentially turn the understanding of time on its head. Neither here nor there. Let's keep going. These stories highlight additional problems with exaggerating the importance of 1619. See, they exaggerated the importance of it to get y'all to believe that that was the 400-year mark for us. I'm trying to, anyway, let's keep going. Privileging that date in the Chesapeake region effectively erases the memory of many more African peoples than it memorializes, excuse me. The From this point forward and in this place narrative arc silences the memory of more than 500,000 African men, women, and children who had already crossed the Atlantic against their will, aided and abetted Europeans in their endeavors, provided expertise and guidance in a range of enterprises, suffered and died, and most importantly, endured. Stop right there, though. See, here's the difference between them being enslaved and everybody else is that you can't tell me that all the people that were being brought here were all of a similar genus group. And you can't tell me that he knows that it was 500,000 people that was brought. before. There's no, how do you know that? Listen to me, y'all. How did they know? Could the person who wrote this article told you what they had for breakfast that day? Let alone be so sure that it was more than 500,000. I don't care how many people it was. Right on. I told people before, I was told that slavery started in 1597. You know what I mean? And 1619 was a date I won't even get started on all that. We just keep going. Ah. When you know a lot of stuff and when you've been taught a lot of stuff, you have to know when to use it and know when to just say, okay, I'm gonna abandon you for a second, or I'm gonna leave you right here. I'm gonna leave that right there. I ain't even gonna sweat that. I'm gonna just keep reading. Sir John Hawkins was behind four slave trading expeditions during the 1560s, suggested the degree to which England may have been more invested in African slavery than we typically recall. Tens of thousands of Englishmen and women had meaningful contact with African peoples throughout the Atlantic world before Jamestown. This is why they be mixed blooded like that now. In this light, the event of 1619 were a bit more yawn inducing than we typically allow. Telling the story. Now, listen, this guy has not picked a specific date at all. He just been jumping all over the place, has not given you anything solid or concrete. They're just attacking 1619 because they want people to be like black people had already been here. See, now, why not just say black people were here? Can't say that because then you have to say for the thousands of years that black history was here. This is why that whole idea, anyway. The native, aboriginal, indigenous people that lived in this land that were bushled hair, right on, that were of very large stature, okay, that were murdered off unrighteously in an ungodly manner. Those individuals are not, they are not Africans. There are no Africans over there in Africa that look like them now. The only people on this earth that resemble them are the Aboriginals, and the Aboriginals don't look like them because the people that were here did not look like they were all inbred. Furthermore, to pick a specific date gives people a timeline where in which they can say, okay, from this point forward, because no disrespect, all the inventions that had been invented before a certain documented place and time. I'm not saying that they were insignificant, but they don't measure up to the inventions that follow by the true people that are brought here, not those that were already here, and not those that come from a lesser stock of people. Let me go ahead and go forward. Telling the telling the story of 1619 as an English story also ignores the entirely transitional nature of the early modern Atlantic world and the way competing European powers collectively facilitated racial slavery, even as they disagreed about and fought over almost everything else. So the only thing they could agree on was we got to sell these niggas and we got to keep these niggas under our thumb. From the early 1500s forward, the Portuguese, Spanish, English, French, Dutch, and others fought to control the resources of the emerging transatlantic world and worked together to facilitate the dislocation of the indigenous peoples of Africa and the Americas. What? The indigenous peoples of Africa and the Americas. As historian John Thornton has shown us, the African men and women who appeared almost by chance in 1619 were there because of chain of events involved were there because of a chain of events following involving Portugal, Spain, the Netherlands, and England. Stop right there. That is why 1619. Let's read that again. John Thornton has shown us that African men and women who appeared almost as if by chance in Virginia in 1619 were there because of a what? A chain of events involving how many countries? One, two, three, and four. Virginia was part of the story, but was a blip on the radar screen. That's fine. That's what the man should have said at first, but he did all this gobbledygooking, okay, about how 1619 isn't important, but you just admitted that there were specific things that took place that led up to the specific date. These concerns about making too much of 1619 are likely familiar to some readers, but they might not even be the biggest problem with overemphasizing this very one specific moment in time. The the worst aspect of overemphasizing 1619 may be the way it has shaped the black experience. Of living in America since that time, as we near the 400th anniversary. Now, this is my pushback. If Benjamin Banneker created a clock, okay, in 1754, and I'm saying that since 1764 onwards till now, okay, 200 and so-called 70 years. Listen to my point, y'all. Listen to my point. We would have to be able to keep track of the day to night each day. We don't know what time frame we're in. That's why 1619 is such an important date, because we know that before 1619 in America, they weren't using clocks. They used them in Europe, but they didn't use them here in America. Not like that. They were not effective. They used the sun coming up and the sun going down as their model. Okay. I'm just throwing this out there. As we near the 400th as we near the 400th anniversary of 1619, and new works appear that are time to remember the firstness of the arrival of a few African men and women in Virginia, it is important to remember that historical framing shapes historical meaning. Now, you want us to believe that there was only 20 niggas. They want you to believe that there was only 20 niggas there, 20 some odd niggas. Y'all really believe that? Y'all really believe that on that one day they only had 20 some odd niggas? Or is that what that one guy seen, or is that what he was told to write down? I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm just asking. How we choose to characterize the past has important consequences for how we think about today and what we can imagine for tomorrow, exactly like I just said. So if I'm saying that it hasn't been 400 years and that our 400 years is enough for another few years, at least, I gave people hopeful numbers when I said we might be off 10 days. It could easily be more than 10 days in a year, but it's at least 10 days in a year. We're not right. These years are not 360 some odd days. They're not even, forget it. Black people will learn the hard way. The day when the Most High God come back is going to be the day that he was appointed to come back in the 400-year time frame to come get us. And this is why they have all these things going on to try to distract us from what's going on, hoping that they can get you to give up on the Most High God. In that light, the most poisonous consequence of raising the curtain with 1619 is that it casually normalizes the Christian European as historical constants and makes African actors little more than dependent variables in the effort to understand what it means to be American. Elevating 1619 has the unintended consequence of cementing in our minds that those very same Europeans, stop it, that those very same Europeans, one moment, who lived quite precipitously and very much on death's doorstep on the wisp of America were in fact already home. But of course they were not. Europeans were the outsiders. Selective memory has conditioned us to employ terms like settlers and colonists when we would have better been when we would have been better served by thinking of the English as invaders or occupiers. In 1619, Virginia was still Tennecomach. Europeans were the non native species, and English were the illegal aliens. Uncertainty was still very much the order of the day. And when we make the mistake of fixing this place as a time as inherently or inevitably English, we prepare the ground for the assumption that the United States already existed in embryonic fashion. When we when we allow the idea to go unchallenged, we silently condone the notion that this place is and always has been white, Christian, and European. Where does that leave African peoples and peoples of African descent? Unfortunately, the same insidious logic of 1619 that reinforces the illusion of white permanence necessitates that blacks can only be ipso facto, abnormal, impermanent, and only tolerable to the degree that they adapt themselves to someone else's fictional universe. Remembering 1619 may be a way of accessing the memory and dignifying the early presence of black people in a place that would become the United States, but it also imprints on our minds our national narratives and our history books that blacks are not separate from these parts. When we elevate the events of 1619, we establish the conditions for people of African descent to remain forever strangers in a strange land. Because we are strangers in a damn strange land. Most of us. It doesn't have to be this way. We shouldn't ignore that something worth remembering happened in 1619. There are certainly stories worth telling and lives worth remembering, but history is also an exercise of crafting narratives that gives voice to the past in order to engage with the present. The year 1619 might seem long ago for some people more attuned to the politics of the life of the 21st century. But if we can do a better job of situating the foundational story of Black history and the history of slavery in North America in its proper context, then perhaps we can articulate an American history that doesn't es- essentialize notions of us and them in the broadest possible and various understandings of the words. This would be a very good first step and would also make it much easier for us to sink our teeth into the rich, varied issues that continue to whirl the world today. Woo! Boy, I put up with some bullshit. Hundreds of articles like that I've read. Hundreds, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands. I mean, it's been hundreds of articles over the years. It's probably thousands realistically. Hundreds of big ones and thousands when I think about all the little ones that only take like, a minute or two to get through. Do people understand what they were just hearing? That, yep, well, everything that my title says. Right. Misery is our heritage. Right. That's Black history. Black history is misery. Right on. Because even if you go back before that, and see, this is why I love talking to you. Got to talk to real Africans, because the real Africans will tell you whatever they really Kemites. I don't know what the hell they are. Whatever they really are, whatever their name was before Africa, them individuals over there will tell you we're not them. Gladly will tell you we're not them. No problem. How that work? How does that work? One way, and I know how. Is if you're not those people. And because you're not those people, they could sell you without thought. And when you got there, you ingratiated because everybody's like, well, where do we come from? Who are we? We're not Hebrews. No, some black people are not Hebrews. Some black people are indeed Egyptians. Some black people are indeed Ardukites and all the other races out of the Bible. For sure. But I forbid myself to be likened to the Gentile that has inherited that land that they call Africa. Many a dark skinned Gentiles over there have the land. A lot of them with loose hair that does not resemble the typical Afro hair. How does that work? And we're not talking about, light skinned, biracial looking dudes. We're talking about people that are of a darker hue. So make it make sense. That being said, in this land, they would rather us be miserable. Right on. They hate us for having some kind of hope. They hate us for wanting to not be here. Like the dude said in the article, he said, uh black people, ipso facto abnormal. What? Are y'all following it? Right. That means that your story here is contingent upon somebody else's story. We don't get to have our own story. We're sidekicks. But like I said earlier, though, we're all pulling from a penny, less than a penny. If the black value in this country, the black wealth is it, no matter how much they try to say it is, if they say that we own less than 1% of the wealth of this nation, I believe that. Why would they lie about that? Why? Why would they lie about that? They're like, what about LeBron and them? That's one dude. Okay, take all the sports teams. Listen, take all the sports teams in America. Okay, take all the black players that are on every single sport team you can think of and put all those people together. Right on? They don't equal the buying power of more than a whole like city's worth of black people where the population is 65-70% black. They only have so much buying power. There's only so many mega millionaires in all of those places. There's far more regular people who have access to tens of thousands of dollars than people think. But there's also a lot more people who have access to very little or to no money. So it balances out to being less than 1% when you really look at the numbers. It's not a hit on us. It's just for us to understand that we're not pulling from four quarters. We're pulling from less than a penny. Right on. So when you see a famous, a rich person who happens to be a brother or a sister, you have to understand they're not pulling from four quarters of their wealth. Right on. Their wealth, right, is based on one of these guys right here. It's different. It's a whole nother kind of thing. This is why there's no, majority. There's no sports where black people are like the majority owners of anything. Right on. You might be like a minority owner. So it's like, it's just one of those things where it's easier to it's easier to just be laid back. You know what I'm saying? It's easier just to be laid back and just say, okay, I know for a fact that we only have access to this. This is it. That's it. We have access to a penny. And I know people don't want to hear that. I know they're like, Meech, that's bullshit. Is it? Is it? Is it really bull? Or is it just something that you have to accept? I'm just saying. People want to get mad at me for telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? For being honest. Um, what did I do? I told the truth, and now you're mad. Black people got to wake up. You can't use a narrative like you have less than 1% and then get mad when I show you that that's how much we're pulling from as a people. We're pulling from less than a penny. A penny is 1% of a dollar. And if they're telling us that our wealth is less than that in this nation, that means that everybody who pulls from whatever they're pulling from, you're not even pulling from a penny. I mean, you're pulling from a penny, but you're pulling from less than a penny. Do you understand that, brothers and sisters? Everything you inherited in this country, your heritage, your inheritance, the legacy that we know of is misery. It sucks. They want you to be. How did Martin Luther King die? Did he die in his bed surrounded by his family of old age? Anybody? Hmm? Some of the people that you love the most as heroes, as black people, did not get to live their whole lives through. You know, I heard something so despicable. Brother Andre sent me an article and it said that Carl Weathers' family had the man cremated. And I was disgusted. Disgusted. I mean, you didn't have 10. I mean, we're talking a low end funeral here. You don't have 10 grand to get the man put away. That's, I mean, I get it. Everybody don't got no $10,000. Everybody got no thousands of dollars lying around. But you're telling me you don't have 10 grand put away to bury the man? Or did he request to be burnt up like that? I just have a feeling they didn't want to pay the money to have him cremated. I mean, having him cremated might have cost $1,000, maybe. They all get to keep a piece of him. Selfish, just selfish, selfish, selfish. You get to keep his ashes and all that stuff, and get to keep it. Selfish, as opposed to committing his body to the earth. I went through great pains to make sure that my father was buried. So, for somebody to like not bury a person like that and to burn his body up, right? Just dishonorable, completely dishonorable. But that's the misery that we inherit, where where you would think that somebody would do right by you. You would think, you would think. I mean, but once again, though, let's just talk about these heroes, right? So-called black heroes. How many of them got to die as an old person? For real, for real. How many? Not that many, right? They don't. Y'all see what I'm saying? It it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in this land. They want you to be as uncomfortable as possible. When people say they're living their best lives, I know what they really truly mean is that they're not letting the situation get the best of them. That's honorable. It really, it really is honorable that you're not letting the situation get the best of you. But you're not living your best life. And for you to lie to the people is for you to want them to put the blinders over their eyes as they suffer daily. How can you be in a war? How can you be a subjugate of white supremacy and not be some sort of depressed, some sort of, you have to be miserable. The people who are fighting the so called battle on that front, if they're not miserable ever, how does that make sense? One moment. Misery, a state of suffering and want that is the result of poverty or affliction, a circumstance, thing, or place that causes suffering or discomfort, a great a state of great unhappiness and emotional distress. If that does not sound like what the black man, woman, child experience in this land to varying degrees, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm not in America. Maybe I'm dreaming. just so that way everybody has that at their disposal. And let me go ahead and copy that link for that misguided thought of the Smithsonian. You guys know I got links on links on links, links on links on links. I got them. I keep them. So that way I can continue to tell the people what I know to be right. Now let's hit off on some of this nigga stuff for half a second. I ain't gonna get all foul mouthed on you, but I just want to talk. I might smoke a little ball if I got a little chronic over there. Hit me some chronic real quick, so that way I can keep it real with you. But look, I was flabbergasted when I seen this stuff in Kansas City. I was like, it couldn't have been around me. And that dude and that other guy who tackled that sucked. Let me stop. I just said I am so grateful that there wasn't that those two individuals were placed where they were placed. That God made sure that they were right there where they were, where they were there where they were there at. Complete, utter disdain for life. Shot a bunch of babies. If I'm one of those parents, I'm going to each and every one of those court dates. All those parents should should man, they should all be at those court dates, trying to make sure everybody there gets life. Everybody, life. If not, I don't know if I don't know if they practice the death penalty in Kansas. I don't know. But if they do, if they practice capital punishment, put them all down. I don't care what race you are. When you start doing stuff like that, you got to go. You got to go. You clearly you forfeited your right to live amongst the rest of us when you do stuff like that. You forfeited it. You didn't want us to be trying to kill you. You shouldn't have been trying to kill nobody else. And black people's inheritance is misery. You know what we're told to do? Hey, I gotta smoke some weed for this because this is some bull I'm about to start talking about. We're told don't snitch, don't tell, don't tell the police nothing. While the same mass murderers run around the neighborhood, continue killing and murdering. They're allowed to procreate, and they're also allowed to end whole bloodlines. Nobody's stopping them. And they justify this behavior how? There is no justification, but what do they say? No snitching. They'll say that death before dishonor. You dishonored yourself through your activities before any of this. If it mattered, you shouldn't have been doing none of that. How that work? How that work? You have a whole situation with people in this country where it's not just the youngins, okay? Because one of the shooters looked to be in his 40s, late 30s, early 40s for sure. Yeah. See, I get sick and tired of people always somebody's encouraging these young ones to do these things a certain way. Somebody's telling them exactly how you do it, how you don't get caught. Yeah. Yeah. See, I don't ever want to feel bad for the wicked. All in the same breath, I will never celebrate the downfall of another. We will merely act as if it was supposed to happen. I don't get up and celebrate and clap my hands and stomp my feet every single time I take a breath. Right on? That's a mechanism that the Most High God put within the body to regulate life, on top of all the other systems that were put into the body to regulate life, that being one of the most vital. And for me to get up and clap my hands and stomp my feet every single time I take a breath would be ridiculous. So it's the same thing when you see the wicked perish from the earth. You cannot make it a thing where you so badly want to see them leave that you forget about what it's like to just be a righteous person. Can't forget that part. That's just as important as everything else. Because a lot of the time people will forget that, hey, we're in a situation together. We're in this together. See, it's ironic that people, will try to say disparaging things about individuals who can articulate themselves at their own whim and call their words babble, only because they can't, only because they can't, only because they can't. Can you hear me? Can't what? They can't speak. They can't articulate themselves. They can't put two different thoughts together so that way they can connect the dots for the people. I don't have a issue with the country so much as it is. I just have an issue with the way that things are. The trees ain't never did nothing to me. The tree, right? The physical landmass that you call this country, I don't have a bone to pick with. Right? The apple trees have only ever been good to me. The wild animals, as far as I'm concerned, my whole life have only ever been good to me. I've only ever had dogs that were supposed to be on leashes become unruly. Right. Every other wild animal I've ever seen has always been at the utmost highest level of honor. So I have no grievance against the physical land. I have a grievance against inhabitants who live in this land, of this land, because they have been the beneficiaries of the misfortune of a specific group of people who continue to be the undertow of this entire society. Why that's so important to me? Because, like I said years ago, and I'll continue to say it, without me saying some of these things, the guys that call themselves a thought leader or whatever they consider themselves, whatever they fancy themselves to be, self-proclaimed or proclaimed by the people, has been bestowed upon them. It doesn't really matter. Uh, I just like to say that it's their way of thinking is so much different from mine that they could never ever say the things that I say because we have a whole different mindset. Right on? My mindset is not like theirs. You know what I mean? I can't help that they don't want to tell black people that we're all pulling from a penny. I mean, nowhere is safe. Everywhere is dangerous. Everywhere. Doesn't matter if you live in, doesn't matter if you live, all those places are. So look, let me point something out though, while you're at it, since two of the cities you just used, right? In particular, for sure, Chicago and Atlanta, and you can look this up if you don't believe me. Uh, the Rockefellers built those cities, meaning it was Rockefeller money. Black people built them. Black people built the projects that we live in. Right on, the projects that black people live in. All right, we built those places. The projects that have lasted through all those natural disasters that they're now condemning because the buildings won't fall and they don't want you to have somewhere to lay your head at night. Those same places that have withstood the test of time, your great grandfathers built, your grandfathers built. Okay, right on. Yeah. And you and your father and me and we were supposed to be the people to upkeep them. But because the degradation and the deprivation and the overall denigration of the people has been so great and so magnificent, there's been no room for growth for the people. All we've done is degenerate from one generation after the next. So the greatest black people ever were was roughly two and a half generations, three generations removed from slavery. And since then, we've been backsliding. You know, we don't produce inventors like we used to. We don't produce a lot of things like we used to. We used to produce very high quality people. Those sorts of people are in. And when I say high quality people, I'm talking about people who are well mannered. You know, people who respected their elders, people who understood that one day you will have your turn. Right? We built our ancestors, us, we built those places that we were forced to live in, sequestered within. And now, because it's gotten to such a situation to where people don't want to be in the cities anymore, understandably so. It's not right for a man to be stacked on top of another man, and vice versa. A man should have enough land to tend to, so that way whatever he can accrue in his life, he gets to do that because he has a set, limited amount of time to use his body. And it's not just unfair, it's unjust and it's unrighteous that you've had a group of people who tended to the land far more than anybody ever tended to it and produced more from the land that the earth knows of than anybody ever did. And those people are still the the lowest rung in the society, and they are the undertow of society, and they are second rate and third rate citizens of this society, and it will never change. There is not enough black empowerment, okay, to stop nuclear weapons. We would have to disarm. The only way we will ever have anything, the only way our children and our children's children's children won't live in misery is if this whole earth is disarmed. They talk a good game, but they're not willing or ready to make that sort of sacrifice. Because that's what it would take. It would take the ability to being able to go and saying, okay, we're going to effectively disarm them. Listen, listen. What what book was that? Called White Cargo? Okay. Question about that though. Since you want to bring up some book about white slaves, were they indentured servants? Were they indentured servants or were they slaves? Because there's a difference, homie. There's a difference. See, what you're talking about is called feudalism. Let me go ahead and break down. Let me give you a history lesson, brother Watkins, because I'm sure you probably don't know this. Feudalism was created by Charlemagne. Do you know who Charlemagne is? Do you know? Have you ever heard of Charlemagne? The real Charlemagne, Charles. Yes, Charles. Yes, Charlemagne. Charles. Yes, that guy. You know, Frenchy, Carolinian, Merovingian type of dudes. Okay, he created feudalism. All right. Once you had listen, listen. Once you had feudalism, it created a caste system that has never been shaken. This is why you pay rent to this day, homie. So are you? Everybody's a slave to that degree, right on. That didn't mean that they got beat on their backs. It didn't mean that people ripped their babies out their stomach. It didn't mean that they raped the men in front of their children and their wives. It didn't mean that they were denigrated. It doesn't mean any of that. In fact, the opposite. Right. So when you bring up white slaves, you have to bring that up in the proper context. Those are people who were under feudal contracts. It's not the same. It's just not the same, homie. No, no, we're not. Black people were brought here, player. Black people were brought here. Black people were brought here. There were black people here. See, let me tell you something real quick. There's a guy out there. I ain't gonna say his name, but he copied my whole shtick from years ago. I'd have to get you the links to my videos, man. But I have a library of works. It's all good. Trust me, I do a lot of reading. I'm just letting you know I have a library of works, okay? Where it's not me just talking, it's just me reading. I read the information to people, what somebody else says, things I don't even agree with, right? I don't even agree with some of the information, but I read it. You feel what I'm saying? It's just about letting people know where we could stand as opposed to where we do stand. Like I'm saying about feudal lordships, right? Okay, I could argue that the first black people who were brought here were not true slaves, and there's documentation in the Moroccan treaty that states that the people who were brought, some of the people who were brought here were not slaves. They were supposed to be let go, given back all their property, and restituted everything. That's neither here nor there. There's also black people who were here at first who were indentured servants, 7-year slaves, got their freedom and became freed people, right? So even when we talk about that, like there's a whole context to it. But I'm just saying on the level of in this land, in this land, there were people who were here who looked similar to the Aboriginal, who looked similar to the Indian overseas, and looked similar to what you call an African, right? And I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the dark skin, super tight BB haired, right? Look like Gumby. You know what I'm talking about? They look like Gumby. That's the only way I can say it without being dishonorable. They look like Gumby. You feel me? A bunch of blue black Gumby looking dudes. Okay, check me out. Over here, there was mixtures of these types of peoples. When they brought black people over here, black people were brought here because they had already tried to enslave these people, okay? And they couldn't. They couldn't get them to do the work that they wanted them to do. Black people were us, Afro people were brought here because we have a natural, peaceable nature. And not only that, we were given up by the masters over us. We had African masters, right on? Just like we had white masters, we had African masters over there in Africa. They were over us. They're the ones who told us to get on those ships. I want you to understand this. Do you think en masse, all those people would have got on those boats if they knew what was going to happen? Think about it. I'm gonna check out white cargo, but here's that's the whole point though. They have, as a white person, he has stake for to try to say that white people were slaves first. But once again though, that doesn't change what happened to us. Let's just say for the sake of argument, I'm the kind of person, I'm gonna play angel's advocate, right? Let's say for the sake of argument, they're the very first slaves ever recorded, documented in history, right? Ever. Their position right now and our position right now means that whoever treated them as a slave treated them better than they treated us. Period, point blank. Right. Because their documentation of our captivity is so wicked, is so trite, is so evil, is so odious, insidious, right? So pernicious, as Professor Schmuckatelli liked to say. that these individuals would have you to, they would have you to believe a watered down version of what they will pass off and tell you was history. On this same very channel, my brother, I did a I did a special where I read the whole Willie Lynch letter. I'm gonna have to go find that video too, man. Once again, but I have a litany of works, a litany of works, right on, and and it's crazy because breaking down how all these different individuals, right? All these people who act like they want the people to know what really happened to us. They don't want to tell the truth. You know, the Willie Lynch letter told the people, relax, brother. I got you. Give me half a second. I got you. I got you. I got you. But just give me a second. But I can break down stuff about the King James. I can tell you all about all the stuff I know about all the different little things I know. Just give me half a second, family, and I'm gonna explain myself. When I say for a fact that I read the Willie Lynch letter on this channel, that's indisputable, bro. In the Willie Lynch letter. Now, mind you, this is a dude coming from a Caribbean plantation, and he's observing how things work on plantations here in America. Now, mind you, you have to read what's being said to understand the environment that was in. Number one, all plantations did not have seeds of discord going on. For him to tell them that they need to sow seeds of discords among the blacks means that there's not that much discord among the blacks. When he tells you that you have to differentiate, right on, and pick out certain things, right? Like a slave who has straight hair over a slave who doesn't. Okay, another bomb ass thing. He's pointing out to us the genealogical differences and the phenotypes that come through these genealogical differences. So not only are they genomically different, but they're physically different. And you can make them separate like that. Right, you can put a wedge between them like that. All right, don't have the slaves sleep near your quarters. All right, this is telling me that slaves at one point and the masters, this right, the slaves used to have closer quarters to their masters. This is all the when you read the Willie Lynch letters and you really understand what he's saying, you got to put together like, okay, so what was the environment before he makes these observations? Was it too, was everybody getting along too well? You know what I'm saying? Was everybody getting along too well on the plantation? And he's like, no, 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 no. You can't have that because they'll revolt eventually. Right on. See what I'm saying? He's looking at the future, at the long drawn out aspect of it. Now, this same dude, Willie Lynch, for all that talking that he did, why were the colonies in the islands the first to really fall off and fail like that? See what I'm saying? So his concept really was actually a way to ruin everything. It was how you ruin your slave plantation. Because if everything was going good before that, why would you do that? See, I'm trying to break it down to y'all. They're talking about, oh, he had a plan to help it, to have us fighting each other. No, 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 no. The seeds of discord were sown. Once this guy points out that, hey, this guy's Indian. You're not Indian. That's why his hair is straight. That's why we treat him better. Right. Black people, black people were told by, did you know Farrakhan had the nerve to fix his wicked lips to tell the people that his grandmaster teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, had said that black people, when they used to have straight hair and when they went down into the jungles of Africa, that over a period of time, their hair curled up so that way it could protect them against some of the wild creatures of the place. Boy, they will say anything. The disrespect to tell us that we used to have straight hair, as if straight hair is better. But an afro grows where? To heaven, to God. Where does the other hair grow to inherently? You don't have to say it out loud, but we know. No, Malcolm X said Plymouth Rock landed on us. Yeah, no, what, no, no doubt, no doubt. But I mean, here's the thing, though. Black natives are not new to me. Right on. I'm the person that got this dude on the internet talking about Columbus said that the first natives look like Indians. Nigga copied me. Like literally, this is I listen, I have a library of works. I have a library, I have hundreds and hundreds of works. I don't be sweating it. All these dudes all these cats who don't know nothing have to come here. I don't get the views that they get, but for some odd reason, some way, some shape, and form, I always hear people talking about stuff that I only ever heard myself talking about. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't get upset about it because I understand how YouTube works. I just be like, damn, if these dudes just told the people the truth, people could actually hear it themselves and could come to their own understanding. But you got to understand, these guys are 45, 50, 55-year-old gatekeepers. You see what I'm saying? So they know that their days in the sun are almost over, right? And that's why they hate it so much. They hate the fact that there's a brother out there who I got a bunch of good years left in me, so long as I get to live to see him. And it's not like that for them. Right on. In a handful of years, they're going to be irrelevant. They're going to be the old washed up ones that people are looking at like, man, we helped make these guys, and now look at us. Look, look, you can call it the gleaning, okay? You can call it the thinning of the herd, whatever. It's all the same to me, you know. I mean, but but here's my thing though. I don't need nobody to tell me what an Israelite or a Jacobite or a Egyptian, right on. I know, I know what those people look like. You hear what I'm saying? I know what they look like. I don't have to read a book for somebody to confirm that to me at this point. All I have to do is understand that there's forces of evil that are at work that want us to believe anything other than the truth. Word? That's it. You know, we don't have to, you don't have to read something that's a confirmation of their goodwill. I'll give you a prime example. A contract between two men says that one party is obligated to do said such thing for said such price by said such time. Okay, there's nothing good about a contract though, nothing, because anything can happen in life that can make that contract null and void. Right. And then all of a sudden you have a whole nother slew of issues that you didn't have because there only your words should matter. Right on? Your words. I mean, I don't think you should just throw stuff out there and not be able to prove it. I just think that you should be able to say certain things that are kind of obvious. I'll give you an obvious one. Okay, if the earth is indeed a circle, I don't believe it is, but if the earth is indeed a circle, then why is everything we stand on flat? Let, let it sink in before you answer that. Why do you want your home to be leveled? Why do you want everything leveled if the earth we live on is a giant ass bubble, so to speak? Why isn't everything bubular? Why isn't everything circular? Why doesn't everything go more like that? Better question. If you believe that black people could be Egyptians, right? I'm not saying that I'm Egyptian. I'm saying that there are black people who are indeed from the Egyptian bloodline. Did you know that the Egyptians believed that the universe was a rectangle or was built like a square? Did you know that? The universe, not the earth, the universe. So, and inevitably, that means everything within it must be built a certain way too. This is not me, right? I was only asking to see if you knew that. Look it up, family. Right on, because then I have to stop doing what I'm doing just to do that, just to show you. But the Egyptians thought the universe was a rectangle. They thought it was rectangular shape. So think about that. A rectangle is a square, but a square is not a rectangle. Why? Because a rectangle only has 90 degrees at the corner. No matter how big the rectangle is, the corners only equal 90 degrees every time. That's what makes it a square that has 360 degrees and 4 points. So once again, if the Earth now I'm gonna get now I'm gonna get I'm gonna now I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but I'm gonna give you this last little piece of what I believe is real divine mathematics, and we're gonna get a square to show you my point, brother. This object right here is rectangular shaped. It has 4 corners. Yes. Okay. 90, 90, 90, 90. 9 times 4 is 360 or 36. Okay. The unique thing is, let me see if I can't find a circle, a sphere. I know I got one somewhere. I'll use this globe as an example because it's a perfect circle. It's too bad. See that globe right there? That globe represents 360 degrees. That's all it has. The four edges altogether equal the same circumference as this circle. Now, here's where we get complicated. How many seasons are there in a year? We already know that. Four. One, two, three, four. The four seasons, if you look them up, they're called intercalary days. Intercalary uh, has several different meanings and definitions, but the one that's most important is that it's a day where the season changes. So this season ends and this season begins. Why that's so important? If there's 364 days in a year, I'm going to ask this question, and you don't answer it out loud. If there's 364 days in a year, which shape most represents the earth? And we can make it like that. And you could put depth to it. You could make it to where it's stacked, and you could put little mountains on top of it and everything. It still doesn't change that it's a square. Which does 360 closer to 365, or is 364 closer to 365? And where do you think they got it from? Now, the book of Enoch tells us that. The book of Enoch tells us that there's 364 days. But other than that, though, family, I'm saying, why would I believe what they're going to tell me when I know that they want me to go against myself? They want me to go against the truth. They want me and you to not believe that our time in this land has not been full of misery. And misery, by definition, again, is a state of suffering and want that is the result of poverty or affliction. I'm pretty sure Black people know all about that. A circumstance, thing, or place that causes suffering or discomfort. Black people know all about that too. A state of great unhappiness and emotional distress. Black people know all about those. All three of them. We know all about all three of those. I'm not deep. I just been reading and I'm relating what I read to you. I just so happen I have a decent memory certain days. Everybody I believe is really on the level. It's just, do we want to surrender what we're supposed to surrender to the level? King James being Black, heard this before. I do believe it. Why I believe that King James was black? Earlier in this segment, I was talking about how the English had had contact with the African people 100 years, who knows how long before slavery jumped off so-called slavery. It's just believable that these people, and it's in that link. I'm gonna recopy the link so that way you don't got to go find it again. I'm gonna copy it, and you can copy this link whenever you got time to, and save it to your notebook or something like that. Woo. That link right there has the information I'm talking about, where it states that the people um, who are called African were already known about. They were already on the scene. They were established people. But that's one of those pieces of information I was trying to say that that brother who took my whole stick, right? He took that from me because he was unwilling to say this brother actually knows a little more. Thing is what? I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? Black people, what did we inherit? Right? It doesn't matter how much money you make as one man. Do does every man get to make that money? No. Some people even know better that they were put in that position not because they work hard, not because they're good at the job. Okay, but that's fine. That's fine. That's I don't sweat all the people. That's fine though. Once again, who got treated like black people over here? Brother, ask yourself this. All that, I can't stop what happened to them. All I know is that there's been an Irish president. Right on? That's what I know. There's been an Irish president. Let that sink in. They let a dude who's, for all intents and purposes, a German Scot. His name is Donald Trump. Actually, there's been two Irish presidents if you count Joe Biden. I forgot all about Joe Biden. Follow me. What group has suffered like black people? And and then on top of the suffering has contributed like black people. Name the group, brother. Forget all about the indentured servants. Forget all about all that other stuff. What have the what have the Mexicans done in Mexico that was so great? What have the Chinese done in China that was so great? The Russians in Russia. Hmm? What about the Brazilians in Brazil? No, that's okay. The N word, right? They did the N word in their lands, right? The N word. Come on. Nothing. That should be the word nothing should be a derogative word when we're talking about works in a nation. You you should never be able, I and you, we as people should never be able to say nothing about another nation. That should be like blasphemy almost. But however, the truth is they've done nothing in those lands. Were they oppressed? I okay, so what do black people have to show for all the pain, suffering, and misery? Their blood, their sweat, their tears. What do they have? What do we have? I, look, I'm well aware. Listen, I'm well aware that France, Germany, Italy, Spain, all of the Afghanistans, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, China, I'm well aware that all that was us, or at least people who look similar to us before them. But here's the thing though. They willfully tell us that they invaded those lands. I cannot be angry at them over that. They told us they're invaders. They told us. I mean, their history says it. And I did a video, maybe 2 videos back, 3 videos back, where I actually go kind of in depth, you know, Uh, so I mean, like for me, it's just different, bro. Like I don't I don't get caught up in that because I know our fight and our struggle is the one heart and one mind at a time. You follow what I'm saying? That's the real battle. We're battling for hearts and minds out here. We're the 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 battle for everything else doesn't matter because if you have their heart and you have their mind, you can steer them in the direction that they need to go. Because let's say I'm telling somebody, do as I say, not as I do. As long as what I say is the right thing and you see me do wrong, you'll understand, okay, they want me to do better. Period. My father used to say to me all the time, son, you can learn a lot from a dummy. He meant that. My boy Head used to say the same thing. You can learn a lot from a dummy, Meech. Brother Denzel, Brother Watkins. You can learn a lot from a dummy, man. You can learn a lot from people who don't know very much, and you can learn a lot from people who you think know less than you or have less than you. You might think that somebody, I'm not saying you in particular, but you might think somebody, oh, well, look at the situation he's in. What could he possibly know? Well, do you know what led them there? Do you know what put them there? If not, that judgment was a wasted judgment. Any wise man loves knowing what happened before him. So that's just a sign of your wisdom, brother, that you love to know what took place before you. That's a sign of a person who has a strong mind, who understands the need. Uh oh, one day. I know what you were saying. I know what you was talking about right when you said it. Yeah, I know how this is gonna go one day. It's just it ain't happened yet, player. But I'm talking about how black people need to realize all our whole heritage in this land is misery. Like, if you want to talk about somebody's great standalone accolades, just the accolades, you can do that, but then that's being disingenuous. You know, the fact that Jackie Robinson had to break race barriers in the first place, but the fact that Negro League Baseball just didn't get the support that it should have got. Could you imagine if there was a Negro League today and all these people complaining about the Negro League? Oh, the buses used to break down, damn it. It's because they was giving you guys this rundown stuff. Right. Right. And to this day, they killed the Negro League so they could bring in a whole bunch of dudes named Garcia, Hernandez, Batias, and all these are the different names. Look black, but don't feel like they black people. Right on. And they take those resources that we work to get in this land back to their nations. So when people ask me, am I disgruntled? No, I'm not disgruntled. I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that such an obvious thing could be ignored and folks could actually be oblivious to it and to a certain degree, where they're not aware that that adversely affects. No disrespect to Giannis, no disrespect to none of the foreign born or just foreign name dudes, right on. But go back to where you came from, dog, and make it pop over there. Don't come and steal food off my plate, then look at me crazy because I asked you, what are you doing? I don't care who invited you. Right. They sorry ass Africans telling niggas to come home. To what? A civil war? You niggas haven't learned how to get along yet. Y'all still murking each other over tribe. And you want me to go over there and get killed or give you all my money? So that way you stop it. But that's what they're doing though. Then you got black people getting on the internet talking about how much better life is in Africa. But there's a few differences, but overall is how could it be better? How? How could it be better? It could never be better. It's different. I'll say that, but it's not better. And to say that a place where the people who people know that they were a part of the ongoing suffering, to ever say to come home and then to have Africans who've benefited greatly off the toils, the labor, and the trials of their so-called American counterparts, have the audacity to tell us to get over something. We don't look like them. We don't talk like them. We don't act like them. We don't. We're just different individuals. Well, here's the thing. We found our relatives at the end of slavery. Right on. That was one of the first things black people did, was went to go look for their family. Yeah, we did that. See, all the moralistic, all the all the so-called altruistic, everything that is supposed to be right about this country, we showed people. When it's a story of a man that is on a journey for his family, every time it should be a movie about a black man. It's just more relatable. It's more realistic that he's had his family taken from him to some degree, and now he has to go and fight for them. Elliot Rogers, Elliot Rogers. I know the name. I'm just trying to think of the works. I'm just saying. I just can't think of his accolades. I have to look him up. I have to look him up. Give me a second. Sure. Give me a second. Let me see if it's Ellison Rogers. Oh. Yep. You talking about a missing persons, dude? You talking about the guy who's a missing person? You talking about a missing person? Because the only thing that just popped up when I looked up Ellison Rogers was a missing persons report. Okay, on Google. But still, the point is this. I'm thinking Elliot. But anyhow, no, it might be Ellison. But the only person that came up under Ellison was some white looking dude. Okay, talking about reported missing, strange disappearance. But the name that you just brought up sounds from William Ellison. There we go. Pull that nigga name. There we go. I'm thinking of somebody else then. I'll have to pull up whoever I'm thinking about in a second. William Ellison. Yeah, some American blacksmith. There we go. Let's see when he was born. Supposedly April 1790, died in 1861. So he got a pretty good life out of it. Born in South Carolina. Let me pull up the picture for people to see this dude. This is a different looking cat. No, but I'm thinking of somebody else though. I'm thinking of a cat named Elliot Rogers. I'm thinking of somebody different, but I'm not worried about it right now. I'll just go find it in a little bit. Or Elliot something. Might not be Rogers, but I'm thinking of Elliot. One moment. Bam, bam, share. I'm not gonna say he's a funny looking chicken, but he most definitely and just is looking different. Dude is looking all the way different. I'm guessing this is him. 'Cause it's the only picture that looks. Come on, blow this shit up. Can I just click on the picture? There we go. He owns 53. Let's do this. 1 second. Trying to see what's. Oh man, these dudes be acting funny. Oh, this dude was a slave owner, bro. Did you know that? Oh no. Told me what? Oh, that he was a nigga who owns. I've been known that, bro. I told you. Well, you probably. I don't know if you was here when I had said it, but I had said the Moroccan treaty had made it to where when certain black people had first got here. You know what I'm saying, give me 1 second. But that's not us though. Look at his hair, bro. Look at that dude's hair. That's not us. Look at that dude's head, bro. That dude looks like a native or something like that. He don't even look like a regular black person. But my point is this. If I said he was an Ethiopian or if I said he was Moroccan, would you believe that? Right on. If I said he was a Moroccan dude. No. Looking similar doesn't mean they look like you. Right on. Follow me. Indians, Indian people look like black people. If you put a beanie over an Indian dude's head and have him sit down right next to other black people, until he opens his mouth, you will not know he's Indian on everything. Especially if they really look like us, you really won't know. Right? They got that brown skin and they got the nose, all that shit too. Oh man, you ain't gonna know. He got his little beard growing in it. He ain't gonna have no idea because a lot of them have a thick beard. Right on. So when you say that, and I see that funny looking chicken that you just introduced me to, and I'm gonna have to think about the brother I was thinking about. Uh, but still, um, it's not, it's not, it's not, it's not unbelievable that a black dude, right, um, owned slaves, because the history that I was taught that black people own slaves. Um, it's just unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? It's just unfortunate. But life is life because why try to stop the truth, brother? The truth is going to be, the truth is one sided. You know what I'm saying? No, brother. I follow you. I get all that. I'm probably one of the few people to say that half breed and quarter breed and mulatto looking dudes um were sent over here by their black fathers who seated them onto the thrones. I'm quick to say that the Moors seated their half blood sons and daughters onto the thrones of England and France and Spain. I'm quick to say that the Italians and the so called Greeks, okay, the truest of them are people of biracial genome, and that is not by proxy, but by merit. And what I mean is this, is that it would be one thing how there's a contingent of people in America who are biracial now. Um, it's another thing when people are in America. Listen, follow what I'm saying though. Relax. A biracial person in America is made biracial through proximity, not through merit. The people are close enough to mate. Whereas the Italians were thoroughly conquered, or I should say, a contingent of them were rescued, depending on how you view history. Because one side of history tells us that the Franks and the Gauls and all the other Ostrogoth, Visigoth, and all the other Anglo-Slavic, Turkic individuals and Mongoloid individuals who invaded Rome and Greece and all these places where Aboriginal people lived, Black people lived. One could come to the conclusion that when Black Moors came to attack Byzantine, that they actually were there to defend it because the people that were there before in these regions were Black people. Um, what am I saying? What am I saying? I know about the pygmies, brother. What was I going to say? Okay, so look, because you said a whole lot. What's up, Leonard Judah? What's popping, bro? Everything is excellent. Everything is good. You know what I'm saying? Everything is good, brother. I just been talking and going over, the whole Black misery in America and how that's our heritage. Our for Black people, our heritage is misery. It's not that we can't enjoy anything. Shit, nigga, I'm telling the truth, nigga. Shit, the shit look. I ain't never told nobody no lies on this bitch. Okay? Because if you think, like I said, if you think you're living your best life, and I'll put $1 to your dime on this. If you're living your best life, why are there nukes on the earth? How could you? Once again, you could make the best out of it. Like I said earlier, we could make the best out of it. But to live your best life would be crazy, and that would make, to me, it would make you unstable up here. Right on. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of Black people are unstable up there because they think they're living the best life. I'll say it and I'll keep saying it. It's impossible to live your best life under the threat of nuclear war. It's impossible. And Black people's history in this country has been nothing but misery. You tell me of 100-year span in the so-called almost 400 years we've been here. Hell, you give me a 20-year span where they haven't been hateful to us, and you got me. Right. But that's my point, brother. The word misery, the definition, big brother. By definition, a state of suffering and want that is a result of poverty or affliction, a circumstance, thing, or place that causes suffering or discomfort, a state of great unhappiness and emotional distress. Any one of those could apply to Black people. We wouldn't be asking for reparation. We wouldn't need reparations as a people if there wasn't misery that afflicted us as a greater whole than not. I'm fine. I'm gonna eat some steak and brown rice and pinto beans tonight with some cornbread. Okay, I'm about as miserable as it gets, or when it comes to that. But I'm saying on the real, that part, that part. Okay, so look, I'm not saying that we can't enjoy nothing. I said that there was nothing to enjoy on this earth. It's just the idea that we're not in a miserable situation is a denial of reality and actuality. because if we weren't in the situation we were in, black people wouldn't be impoverished the way they are. They wouldn't be indigent the way that they are, and black people's minds wouldn't be all the way out there the way that they are. Our minds as a people, as a whole, is messed up. Individual, we're fine. Right on. I mean, we'll get through today. I pray. I feel like I am. I feel like everything is going as good as it's going to go for me to get to, you know what I'm saying, this one to get to the next one, while I trampoline into the next day. But I mean, but the original, okay, but here's my question though, brother. Did you know the word mooly? And I'll be right back to you, brother Judah. Did you know the word mooly in Italian means eggplant? And that's where the insult "mooly" comes from when they were talking about the Moors who invaded Italy. They were calling them, it's right. So understand, the people who invaded that land, right? When I say Moor, I have never seen an eggplant this color. I've never seen an eggplant this color. My daddy was a light skinned black man, okay? Word. I never seen an eggplant his color. The only colors I've ever seen eggplant, they're dark. There are dark red. That's not a trick, baby. Listen to what I'm saying. Follow this. Follow this. You got black people, you got super duper dark skinned people who grow beards to this day. Why is it impossible that large statured, very dark skinned individuals, I don't know, a bunch of dudes who look like Shaq? Use your imagination for a second. But why is it impossible that a bunch of large, dark skinned individuals didn't do exactly what they're saying? Not to say that there weren't people who weren't as dark as them, but I believe them. They have no need to lie about something like that. The fact they even admitted that black people ran roughshod through those lands is enough. But for them to give a description, what? Listen, so you're telling me that black people didn't run roughshod? No, 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 no. Listen, bro. I I'm gonna have to pull up this link for you now because you're saying that we was the Vikings. And no, 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 no. Because the way that I read it, we weren't called Vikings. We weren't. It's not even us. They were black giants. That's what I'm saying, bro. You can't claim to be everybody, family. Listen, no, listen. You can't claim to be everybody, bro. This is my point that I've been trying to make. There's black people that are Egyptians for sure, and I know that there's a bunch. I know that everybody's mixed or whatever. Okay, so that means that those black Fomorians, that's what history calls them. Those black Fomorians, not all the Vikings were white skin, not all of them were black skin. But this is proof that the giants that came and invaded the lands were of different hues. They all did not look one way. So it explains, bro, I already know what I'm talking about. I already know what I'm talking about, family, because what you're saying does not change. What you're saying doesn't change what I'm about to say. Are there not abnormally large black people? Are there not abnormally large white people? Are there not abnormally large Chinese people and all these other individuals all over? Yes, there are. Thank you very much. So it can't just be they all were black, bro. That's just, once again, that's closed-minded thinking. You know what I'm saying? That's closed-minded thinking. That's closed-minded. You feel me? I don't have to say they were black. I already know that. I already know. Why would I say what I already know? I already know they're black. Like I said, I have websites. I have hundreds of works, family. Hundreds. No, 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 no. Listen, no, it doesn't matter if it's a white giant, a black giant, a whatever giant. I mean, no, but there's black people who have red looking hair though, Leonard Judah. There's black people with red looking afros with two black parents. Nah, bro, listen. The Russians come from the Slavs. The Slavs are a branch of the Turks, ultimately. The Turks come from individuals who are of larger stature. All these dudes you're talking about bred in with people who were of smaller stature. I'm not just talking about black people. I know about black Russians. Bro, family, you haven't seen enough of my works to be in here typing in all this stuff. I don't know that King James was Russian. There's no proof to that. King James was an English dude. King James was an English dude. And if you'll stand on that King James was Russian, tell me what's the Russian name for James then, because I don't know it. No disrespect to your knowledge. Stop it. No disrespect to your knowledge. What's the Russian name for James? Because I don't know it. James is an English name. Really, it's a Spanish or Latin name. Jaime. If you really want to get all the way technical, you're not gonna sit here and blow smoke, brother. Right on? Nah, dude, that's it. There's one dude that's King James. Brother, listen, my dude. Listen. This is called a Septuagint. Let me give you another history lesson. This is the only book, the only book, the only book that translated successfully. Listen, a lot of people worship a black Yeshua. A lot of people know that he was black, but Ethiopians say he was Ethiopian. Am I supposed to pat the Ethiopians on the back for that? Hell to the nah. Nah, bro. The Septuagint is the only reason. For. Listen, I don't know who they married. I wasn't there. Did you do any fucking to get them there, brother Denzel? And I'm not being derogative. I'm asking a serious question. Because if you weren't there, you're speculating, family. Right on? And it's okay if you want to speculate, but you can't put it out there like that's just what it is. Because like I said, I got hundreds of works where I'm using other people's understanding other than my own to come to these conclusions. What you just said about so-called black Russians, okay, cool. But I got a website and a link with 3 different links that talk about Denisovans. I don't think you're arguing. I think you're just trying to say stuff that I just don't agree with. And I'm like, bro, I just spent too much time studying DNA, genetics, and all that. I can't just let you tell me that. I can't just let you tell me that because one dude on the internet said that, and I don't think you vetted the information. That's like when people try to say that Queen of Saba was Ethiopian. Okay, so do you think that Queen Sheba was Ethiopian? Do you think that Abraham's mother was Ethiopian? Just because the Ethiopians say that? I mean, like at some point there has to be evidence for it. It can't just be a person saying it. Right on? That's my point. I'm saying that the evidence of me knowing that giants came in different colors and whatever, is that there's, like I said, there's abnormal statures of individuals of all. Okay, who can I go look at? Who can I go look at? Right? I'm talking about like with my 2 eyes. Because I could name people you can go look at right now that'll verify my claim. And I'm talking about different look, and I'm gonna name off 5 of them. And it's gonna mess your head up. Yao Ming, the great Khali, Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain, Bobo. I'm gonna keep going. Victor Wembanyama, your boy Jokic, right? Are you hearing what I'm saying? None of all those dudes all look kind of different. You couldn't tell me that one specific giant race produced all those different looks, all those different genotypes and phenotypes. No, right? That's not possible. What is possible, though, is that there's different ones of them. There's only one King James. That matters. Let me say it like that. There's one King James that matters. That's it. The only one. Just like there's only one Muhammad that matters. There's the Mehmet guy, the Turkish Mehmet, but we're not talking about him. When they talk about Muhammad, they're talking about Abdullah. They're talking about the big head Ethiopian dude. What? Nigga, you what? Where you live by? What? Like fucking like Stonehenge or something, nigga? You out there in Judah? What you talking about? Shit, living by. Listen, everybody lives where giants lived. Hold on, let's get this shit straight. The whole earth used to have gigantic people on them at one point. Let's go ahead and figure that out. Let's go ahead and put that there. Nobody lives in a place on earth that where giants didn't live. Nobody. So whether you live by an area where they built a pyramid, the Lovelock giants, I'll look them up. But check me out. All I'm saying is when we get back done with the when we get back down to the whole everything that this really is about, the heritage, what black people inherit in this country is misery. That's what they inherit. So it don't matter who was black and who was white. That ain't gonna change. Like I said, what happened to us happened to us. No disrespect to King James. No disrespect to Queen Anne or none of them. Right? No, but I'm talking about us. Does a guy like Shaquille O'Neal get discriminated on? No. They kiss his ass because he's tall. Tall people kiss tall people's ass like all the time. Like it's like a known fact. So you know what I'm saying? Everything that you just said is proof positive that individuals who are not us, right on, benefit off of us. That's the facts. Your greatest inventors in this land in America did not stand no 7 feet tall. You can't troll me. I'm untrollable, okay? I'm untrollable. All right. Look, I'm just saying this. When it's all said and done, when it's all said and done, the people that we're talking about, just like, let me go back to the Russians real quick, right? The Russians are beneficiaries of black people's hard work in America. Are they direct beneficiaries? No. But are they beneficiaries? Yes. Do they have electricity? Yes, they do. Do they use refrigeration? Yes, they do. Do they like air conditioning? Yes, they do. I could keep naming the stuff that they probably like and love over there that our hands are all over. See, we're supposed to have those things because we're the children of the people that brought them forward. Yeah, the nigga in America can't even afford a refrigerator. He can't afford a home to live in to have the amenities that his people invented. Think about that. That's where they have us. Oh, man, this is nothing. This, bro, you know how we do this, bro. You know how I get down. Okay. But I'm just talking about the facts of what it is, right? Because it doesn't matter what nobody else does, it matters what we do. And one of the issues that we're having right now, as a people, is just not realizing that just because I can pay, like I was saying, just because I can pay my bills, I can take care of my situation. It doesn't mean that everything is all right as far as like other black people. A couple weeks ago, and I never like to talk about like what I do for people, but a couple weeks ago, man, I had a really crazy like chain of events. Might have actually been almost a month ago now. I went outside, right? And I was going to go get me a beer, and there was this brother outside. And at first, I thought he had on a mask, right? I'm like, damn, this nigga wearing a mask? And as I get closer to him, I realize this nigga's skin is, I've never seen nobody's skin like this, y'all. Like, it was some shit out of a movie. His skin was so dry, it was just dry flakes. This nigga looked like he had alligator skin. It was crazy. I ain't never seen that. I've seen it. I've seen like little patches like that on people's skin, but not all of their skin like that. And I sees this brother, and I say, brother, do you need anything, man? He said, yeah, man, I need something to drink and something to eat. I said, all right, I'll be right back. So I go upstairs. I rustle up a little something real quick. I go down there, but before I go down there, I get this cream and I get this really nice cream and I get this really nice lotion. I said, hey brother, I said, I want you, I'll bless him real quick and I give him what I give him. And I said, hey brother, I want you to go to one of these missions around here. I don't know what you got. Listen, I ain't trying to be wrong, you know what I'm saying? I just can't have him coming up in here. Whatever he got, I can't have it in my abode, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna do what I can do and I'm gonna give him the righteous advice. And I said, man, you need to go to one of these shelters, man, and you need to get the cream on your hands, get it on your face and let your face heal up. You need to start letting your face heal up, brother. Do y'all realize there's more brothers and sisters like that running around America than y'all could ever imagine? This is Washington State. I need y'all to understand. 4.5% black people, 4.6% black, and half of that, almost half of that, is Africans. And Africans and Islanders alike. And I don't got nothing against nobody. I'm just saying that when you say black, I'm thinking people who were born here for some generations and have some skin in the game, not somebody who just got here and is looking to maximize their so-called potential because they haven't had to work and bust their ass their whole life. That being said, we need to start looking at the actuality of what it is. Most black people are suffering. Most. Like, hey, listen. There will no, man, I did what I could do. Okay, I did what I could do. But I'm saying though, on a serious note, though, man, he's not the only brother out there like that. He's not. I know he's not. Right on. I'm just saying, man. I know he's not. So they want me and you to go home at night, to lay down at night, and to pat ourselves on our backs and say, well, at least I work for the little bit I got, or at least I work for what I got. And it's like, but what I'm working for is not enough to uplift my people. And that ain't right. You got individuals who don't have to work at all and they're able to uplift multiple clans at their behest, at their will, at their desire, at their ever beckoning. And we could work 1,000 times harder than them and never be in a situation to change it for more than 5 or 10 people. There's something wrong with that. That's what I call miserable. That's miserable. You know, I like Brother Denzel. I thought he brought a lot to the table today, a lot of healthy stimulation. But I just need the brother to understand I've been doing this stuff for years and years and years. I have hundreds of works that multiple successful YouTubers have been able to come to this channel and take information from. I can guarantee they're gonna come to this joint and they're gonna find a little something they can take from it. Uh, uh, that's just the way it is. That's just I accept it. I just don't think it's right how they do it because at some point on one of these days they're gonna have to say the brother that really opened our eyes to not having to be held hostage by Africa, right on. It's the little nigga named Meech. And he wasn't even doing it trying to like do nothing. He was just saying some stuff that was like, yo, don't y'all think that Kwanzaa's make believe? The nigga that made it up, it's literally a make believe holiday. So that way we would have our own holiday. I mean, doesn't that make people like question and like wonder, like, why do we care so much? Because we feel left out. That's part of the misery. Why do brothers take chances on their lives so they can provide presents during Christmas? Because they feel miserable. They feel embarrassed. If their presence alone brought joy and jubilation and happiness to their household, they wouldn't have to do that. They wouldn't feel pressed to do that. Right. During birthdays, people die every day trying to provide for a child that will never understand this person felt pressured to do this because they didn't know what else to do. And we're going to lose brothers and sisters tonight to that kind of nonsense, and tomorrow to that kind of nonsense, and the day after that, and the day after that. And it's sickening to think that that is our heritage in this nation. Misery. And I know we got off track earlier, but it was good that we caveated like that, talking about giants and all that stuff. But this is for real, for real. And to talk about the people of the abnormal stature, name one person you know who's over a certain height who doesn't get treated with favor. It's just the way they do it. That's just how this society is built. They treat taller people with favor. Nigga could be a full-blown retard. Because he's tall, they're going to give him the pass. When you're a regular size, you have to be exceptional. I mean, exceptional. When I say tall, I'm taller like anything over 6'3", 6'4". You know what I'm saying? Because in this society, that's how it's built. Imagine if Shaq was only 5'7". Imagine if all those dudes in the NBA were just regular height. First off, would we even have an NBA? If everybody on the earth wasn't over a certain height, would it be the same? Right. You see what I'm saying? The dynamic of it. Bro, I'm not talking shit. You know what I'm saying, bruh. You know what I'm saying. We all done seen six. What, he had 6 fingers? What? He had the extra pinky or the extra thumb? What the hell? See? The stuff we learn. Bro, I believe he has that Nephilim Raphaim, but that's what I'm saying though. But he's not okay. See, now this takes us back. Now we're back to the same spot that we started at, that we're gonna finish at, that it's been this whole time. We've been miserable so everybody else can benefit. It's easy for him to say he's black. He looks like a nigga, right? Wilt, the same thing. I mean, all these dudes, bro. And I love Wilt. I love Shaq. I got nothing really against him at all, but I just know that that's a Philistine. That's one of the sons of Enoch or somebody. That's a dude straight out the Bible. You know what I'm saying? When they used to buffalo the village from the people. And by buffalo the village, I mean go in there and hostile take over the whole thing. See? See? But regular black people can't understand, man. We go through this stuff every day, bruh. Every day it's a thing for us. We don't get to live off laurels like that. Like, and once again, am I mad because the man is 7 foot, 7'1", and was like a complete utter machine in his hay? Of course not. Hey, you do your thing, baby. But you're getting yours off of our back. Right. They're able to not have to perfect any craft in their life because they're so tall. People will be like, we'll just find a job. We'll just find something for them. What? Make that make sense. It's just complete, utter ridiculous nonsense. And when these dudes be 7 foot, or just right underneath it, eh, trust me. See, but the color of the see, but once again though, them being tall, it don't matter now. Yeah, it damn sure don't matter. But like I said, make Shaq 5'7", make Shaq 5'8", make him a regular size, nig, right? Make him regular. No, bro. Listen. We, we your boy been saying stuff. I know I said stuff that other people might have said before, but when I said it seriously, right? I was trying to tell people like, bro, you know what I'm saying? It's going down. But where do all these dudes come from? The East, right? So even when we go back and we just look at everything, we're miserable. We're miserable in this land because everything we do, you have to be, if there's not something phenomenal about you, no, bro, that's the only reason why we have to be exceptional at something because we're compensating for what they want us to be. Right on? They want all of us to be like Shaq, but Shaq Shaq is a I mean, a lot of big dudes ain't tough. A lot of big dudes are soft. You know what I'm saying? A lot of big dudes are soft, but there's a lot of little niggas that are weak. All in the same breath. Talk a lot of shit and get slapped and go to sleep. Okay, don't even get punched. They get slapped and go to sleep. They did all that rah-rah for nothing. So it works both ways. It's just it's just in order for people to see it a certain way, we have to stand back and say we're less the original part I made, the original point I made early on. This right here. That's a penny, that's a dollar. This penny represents the resources we have as a people all together to pull from. And this dollar represents all the money that society has. A lot of big dudes ain't used to getting punched. They don't ever have to fight normally in their life. So yeah, that chin ain't never been tested. And one of my favorite sayings is the chin doesn't lift weight. Your chin doesn't lift weights. And I don't care how tough they think they are, bro. Their chin never lifted weights. But this penny is in representation of what we have to pull from as a people. Imagine that. Me, you, Brother Denzel, and everybody else, we have less than 1 penny to pull from to get our groceries, to pay our rent, to pay our mortgage, to pay our bills, our car notes, our insurance, everything. Listen to you. Listen to you over here acting up. Yeah, you can't. you just can't help yourself, can you? And Brother Denzel, I got you. You deserve a wrench. Yeah. Now he's all blued up. And that's another thing I started a long time ago. That's another thing. I started the whole wrench army stuff. I needed it. He said, the giant killer, baby. Yeah, listen, you better get me, listen, man. Y'all gonna get me in trouble out here. I've been saying I ain't gonna be cussing and acting a fool. Okay. I said I ain't gonna be over here doing this and doing that. I gotta keep to my words. Okay. I gotta keep to my words. I've been doing pretty good today. Typically, I'll be just going all in. But today I've been pretty good. I've been on my best behavior. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Anybody who ain't never felt like trying to save the world ain't no real man. That's a fact. Any man that says he's a man and never felt like he at least felt like he wanted to try to save the world is not no real man. A real man, even if he knew it was gonna cost him his life or he'd get laughed at the whole way through, a real man has wanted to at least once in his life to save the earth. Most men have felt that desire. Most men. Most men have felt what it's like to be a real man at least once. I would like to say that being a father doesn't make everybody a man. It doesn't turn everybody into a man. It doesn't thrust them into manhood the way that you would think it would. But wanting to save someone other than themselves will thrust them into manhood very quickly. Whenever we cast our pearls, man, among the dogs and the swines, man, you know what I'm saying? That's what happens. They turn us away, they turn us away, and they turn us away again. And then they try to bite on us, devour us. Okay. And then they try to get rid of us. I'm tired of this nigga. Right? He's all every brother has been called bougie. Any brother that says he don't eat pork has been called bougie. Any brother that says that, listen now, listen now, this is a deep one. Any brother who says that he worships God as God and that Jesus is the Christ gets hated on because a lot of Christians believe that Jesus is God in the flesh. But that's not, that would make Jesus a megalomaniac. Right on? He would be totally out of his mind. Because some of the stuff he was saying, then you would be like, whoa, bro, why would you say that about yourself? You know, um, there's a reason why they hate people who do things a certain way. And I'm not saying that, listen, I'm not saying that Christianity is anybody's way out of anything, but I do believe that the scripture, especially the first 5 books, if we just look at those and read those and study and analyze them for what they are, we don't make it a grandiose book about some wizard in the clouds, um, and we don't over sensationalize what's happening. We see it, we read it, we acknowledge it, and we move forward. But because there's a disconnect in our society, especially with the understanding of how scripture is to be applied, and especially how it applies to our everyday life, because the Bible doesn't say iPhone by name, right? Right? It doesn't say iPhone by name. But you know what's funny? What's the name of the company that makes the iPhone? That's right. Don't say it out loud. Don't type it in. Please don't. Please don't. If I haven't already said it. Where'd they get that word from? See what I'm saying? That's the sort of stuff we're dealing with as a people, where we all know that they try to say that the apple was what Eve and so-called Eve and Isha and Adam made or ate and whatever, right? This is what they ate. This is why they got. I could claim it's really something closer to dates, right? Okay, follow me. But if that's the thing, okay. But they got that out the book. Once again, they can hate the book, but not realize the same things that you're using every day are derivatives or derivations. Their byproducts are taken from that book. Right. Just because the Bible doesn't call the tablet a tablet, it is no less witchcraft, sorcery, and enchantment. It is no less wizardry. As I explain to everybody all the time, me looking into this camera and speaking to you live, especially, is essentially like me having a damn crystal ball. It's tell me the difference between this and a crystal ball, and I'll stop. This is what they don't want us to think. Because if you start looking at it like that, once again, we can see how miserable our lives really are. Everything we have to deal with is controlled by witchcraft, sorcery, wickedness, and they'll make it seem like no. Like once again, I love Will, right? Dude, he was like, you know why he was super capable? Because he was super tall and super big. But if you're regular size dude, right? The person who actually should get all the accolades, you don't. They want us to be more like something that we could never be. Right. You see what I'm saying? Let me see what you just said. Of course it is, brother. You didn't know that? You didn't know that? That the internet is a damn living spirit? Yeah. Yeah, brother. The internet is a spirit. We got a lot to learn in our lives. I learn every day. I try to learn something every day. I mean, when I say something, I mean I want to learn something every day. It's important to me. It's vital to me. The day I start learning is the day that I truly have given up on life. Uh, Years ago, I used to talk about spectra and frequencies and how certain things can be seen in one wave of frequencies and how things can be seen in another wave of frequencies. That's how it's supposed to be, brother. That's how it's supposed to be. And but spectra was so unique. Spectra was so unique, so beautiful, so awesome. It's like right now, you see the light on the back of the cabinet, right? That's a form of spectra. You follow what I'm saying? That light exists in its own frequency, which is why we can see it. Because if we all existed in the same frequency, we couldn't acknowledge other frequencies. Right on? Every single person is their own unique frequency. They give off their own unique energy. Some people give off similar frequencies. Some people sometimes it seems like it's almost identical, but no two people have the same frequency. Doesn't matter if their parents are the same. It doesn't matter if they're twins and all that stuff. None of that matters. No two things give off the same frequency. That's what makes them identifiable. Right. So when it gets dark outside and then we can't and then the specter changes because the frequency changes because the luminosity or brightness is based on a frequency. There's a frequency that gives off brightness. There's a frequency or a lesser frequency that dulls the brightness. Um, Once again, though, bro, we live these miserable lives where this kind of information should be things that we were taught when we were 5. Right on. We shouldn't have to be grown men learning these kinds of things. And I feel like that's what makes it being here so damn miserable is because we can't just dedicate our lives to just knowledge. Right? You have to pay rent, you have to pay bills, you have to pay mortgage, you have to pay unless you want to be out on the street and be a a library Wi-Fi prophet, a McDonald's Wi-Fi prophet, Okay, you have to take care of those things. You have to tend to those things. So it's like we don't even have the ability like our counterparts do, right? Who are homeschooled, who are blessed with the fortune of a trust fund, right? Who are blessed with insurmountable amounts of inheritances from multiple people and places in their families, right? So they were written into not only their grandmothers and grandfathers' will, but they're in their aunties and uncles and a couple of their cousins' will. People just love them, or people just want to spread the wealth, so that way no one person gets all their things. However, the mindset and thinking is, we don't have that. We're start we start with zero, and if we're blessed and we're fortunate, we have a whole dollar to hand down to the next generation. And I don't mean a physical $1 bill, but y'all get what I'm saying. You know, I'm about to say used to be 500. Yeah, yeah, used to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Past tense. Man, isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy they could charge $1,200 for a cubicle and get away with it? And I'm not saying it's a cubicle exactly, it's probably a bedroom and all that, but I'm like, damn, I got one room, my other room, and y'all want how much for this? But you better pay that or that ass to be out on the street. Yeah. Hey, bro, you ain't never lied when you said that. Look, man, I was just at a spot the other day doing a little interview, and the guy was telling me how, business just hasn't been the same since the pandemic. Business hasn't been the same since the pandemic. And I was just like, I understand, but a lot of these businesses, I'm gonna tell you why most of these businesses are doing bad. Because they're hiring a bunch of gay people and a bunch of foreigners. That's why a lot of these businesses do terrible. Anywhere I've ever worked, people are like, "Who's back there cooking?" I've always gotten tipped. Everywhere I've ever worked in my life, where I'm making food, I've always somehow, and people would be like, "Man, we never get tips." And I want to tell them, like, I want to blurt out, I do, because I'm used to that. I'm used to people giving me a gratuity. I'm not saying I deserve it, but if you're in the service industry and you really, I mean, like, you take a great deal of satisfaction in being a real life servant, you're gonna serve people the way you want to be served, man. I'm a everything I want and I desire, I give to people. I know exactly what you're saying, brother. So it's one of those things, family, where, and it's like that everywhere. They done hired the wrong personnel for every job. But our misery is a unique one. Because look, if all goes bad for some of those white folks, guess what they can do? They can go move back in with their mother and their father. They can go move back in with mommy and daddy. My father dead. Okay. And I'm not saying that I would never go live with my mother, but it's just like that's just an untenable situation. So-called security. Right. So-called security. Brother, that's part of the stuff I'm talking about. Unqualified individual. I mean, I've been talking about this stuff for a minute, so pretty soon I'm gonna wrap it up. But man, first off, I gotta say thank you, brother, for making this a very interesting conversation. You stimulated a great amount of thought. You stimulated a great amount of conversation. Much appreciated. You know, it, and well. Let me tell you why they hire women for security jobs. Uh, Even though it's false psychology, they say that women are less likely to be attacked in those positions. Like even female, like for example, don't you think it's weird that sometimes a female officer doesn't need backup to handcuff a full grown man, full this dude is full grown, allows a female that's 5'4", 5'5", man, I'll even give her she could be a chick that's 5'10". She's a buck 60, maybe. He's gonna let her handcuff him and put him in the back of the car willfully. They say that women are less likely to be attacked. I just think it's that men don't women don't give off testosterone. That's what I really believe it is, brother. Women don't produce testosterone. You know what I'm saying? So they don't, what's the word I'm looking for? Not to say that another man will make you feel threatened, but another man can make your senses heightened to where you want to fight. Right on? He can, you know what I mean? Like if you sense him, right? You know what I mean? Getting hostile, the hostility is gonna be there. Whereas if it's a female, like you could easily like diffuse that situation and be like, man, I'm about to leave this chick alone. Well, I mean, bro, that's the thing. I mean, don't ain't nobody is scared of no female. That's the point I was trying to make. Nobody's scared of the female. It's just that they're just less likely to physically offend her. Right on. Um, when female cops get shot, it sucks, but it's I mean, she probably was in a situation that was already hella dangerous. But most men, females will go out of the way to offend and violate another woman. But if she's a real woman, she won't do that. You know what I'm saying? No, no, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. I shit, nigga. Me and you are on the same page. We're on the same exact page. You know, but it's just, it's just. Females are, like I said, the your desire to feel offended is way less. You know, uh, your but it's all chemistry. You feel what I'm saying? So let's say my chemical balance is off, right? And I don't discern between estrogen energy or testosterone energy, right? I just sense I only go based on your tone. I only go based on your physical demeanor and your candor, right? Your diction and your deliverance, stuff like that. Uh, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Like that could make it to where a person might get violent with the female, you know, but like in most situations, people just don't go out of their way to physically offend women. Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. No, yeah, yeah. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, but you see how different that was? The man, they're testing that brother though. But see, they're testing him to see, like, oh man, can we just come up in here and just, buffalo this nigga? Because if we can, who is he? Right? But if there's gonna be a serious situation, like people always say, oh, it's not worth killing somebody over. In the same breath, it's not worth dying over. Right. You know what I mean? Okay. Um, That's just like when these dudes go into these restaurants, not realizing there have been way more customers to attack the people who work in the restaurants with weapons than there have been restaurant workers to attack people with weapons. Right on? Um, um, when they shoot at the people through the drive-through window, right? And they blasted at a nigga for nothing. For nothing. Homie, I just clocked on. I just clocked on. I'm just now seeing the tickets. I'm just now getting your order out, and you're mad because you wanted an extra ranch or an extra buttermilk sauce or an extra honey mustard. right? I don't even charge you for it. I put it in the bag and hand it to you, and you think I got an attitude. I don't. I'm just hella behind. Now, do I need to tell you I'm hella behind, nigga? There's a bunch of cars behind you. These motherfuckers be tripping, man. You know, and that is why I say, you know, but females are less likely to get beat down like that. But when females get outside themselves and start talking wild, start talking reckless, start talking crazy, you know what I mean? Um, there's a little video. I'm trying to think of where it's at, man. It's at some kind of fast food spot, but the ladies arguing with these two dudes, right? Boom, and they're about to leave. The lady pushes one of the young gentlemen. Man, he turned around and slapped Earth, Wind, and Fire out her ass. But she deserved that. But I'm gonna say this though. Would I have slapped her? Probably not. But he taught her a valuable lesson about keeping her hands to herself. Because that's what really can happen. Now, was that the gentlemanly thing to do? No. But was that the right thing to do? I believe that was the right thing to do. I believe it was. Because the force was not disproportionate. Oh no, yeah, I mean, no doubt he probably got a criminal record. Little nigga probably got a record, but I mean, him being a felon doesn't change his ability and his inherent right to protect himself from a perceived threat. You know, um, um, what's that little rapper's chick name? I can't think of her name right now, man. She killed her manager and another. She killed both these brothers in cold blood, man. Right on, gunned them both down. And she gonna say that she was threatened and she felt threatened. But listen, these two brothers is walking away. To me, it should be an open and shut case of murder, murder, straight up murder, first degree murder. Right on, and they should be trying to put the needle, make her ass sniff gas. She should be getting capital punishment. See, because as a man, I don't condone another man putting hands on no females. All in the same breath. If a female put her hands on a man, you all bets are off, baby. I I can't tell that man not to feel offended because you put your hands on him. Work, especially if he's one of those niggas who was raised by his mama, and his mama was like, if a female put her hands on you, right. If she can hit you like a man, she can get hit like a man. Because I know a bunch of women that raise their sons like that. I know a bunch of women. I know a bunch of women that raise their sons like that. I know a lot of women who raise their sons to know if you can help it, restrain her and get away from her. Call the cops on her if you have to, but don't put your hands on her. Right on? Do not strike her. That's wrong. I don't believe in going out here and punching the chick right in her face and hitting her like she's a grown man. But all in the same breath, if a female tried to up a weapon on me, I feel for whew, I feel sorry for her because I'm gonna punch her chin as hard as I can hit it, straight up, like she's a grown ass man, you know. But this all goes back to one thing: the misery of this country. This is our inheritance. It's a miserable thing. You know what I'm saying? You only did that because you had to, because of the country that we live in. You know, that's why. That's why. If we lived in a different environment, in a different setting, where righteous, honorable people, godly, upright people made made it to where we had to do the right things, you know, we would do the right things, and the women would do the right things. But we're in a society where, yep, bro, I know how this goes with these females, bro. Minding your own business. Yep, minding your own business. And let me guess, you apologized too, and that wasn't enough. Yep. Why couldn't she have just kept her hands to herself, bro? forced you into a situation where it's like, now I got to hit you back. Because especially if it even kind of hurt. You know what I'm saying? Now I really got to give you one because you tripping. But why didn't they pull her back, huh? Why didn't they grab her? Or, nigga, why didn't they tackle her to the ground and shit? You know what I'm saying, man? That's what we have to deal with as black people in this country, bro. It has been a uphill battle, to say the least. It's been an uphill battle, brother. I don't know what you got to do with the rest of your day, man, but I ain't gonna take it up in the great land of Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, listen. I don't doubt none of your gangster, brother. Okay, I don't doubt none of your gangster at all. 0%. I believe that the people that the Most High God. It's okay. I believe that too. I believe she was a biggin, a biggin. Oh yeah, not the bull dyke. Oh man, not the bull dyke on me, man. Yeah, the big old bull dyke. Yeah. Oh. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make. I'm not laughing at you, bro. I'm just saying. Mace the nigga, right? Is that not miserable, man? Come on, bro. That's miserable. That's miserable. You have no need to lie to me. Okay? I'm not the law. All right? I'm not the law of this land. Shit, nigga, I would have been sad, mad, angry, wanting to kill him. Oh man, that would have made me want to hurt a nigga. See, uh, this is why the conversation goes off in so many directions because of the misery, bro. There's not one thing that isolates that. I, before I get ready to roll out, my brother, I just got to say this, man. You did the right thing. No, that was the right. See, a bunch of suck ass dudes will try to say, "Oh, he's a snitch." Listen, man, if those bitch ass niggas don't sit down somewhere, selling dope to the people, selling crack to their own mama and daddy, okay, got the whole neighborhood poisoned, looking like zombies. Yeah, it's okay. You did your part. That's all you can do is your part. If the system fails you, you know that you didn't fail yourself. That's what matters the most, my brother. Right on. While you continue to endure the the environment that we've been forced to live in for the time being. Minors, adults, it don't matter, man. Treat me how you want to be treated. Treat me how you would love to be treated. You know? If that's the golden rule, I'm trying to live by the diamond rule, the crystal rule. Okay? It's all good, brother. Gotta relax. Relax. Keep this in mind while you go forward and remember this. They beat baby boy Emmett Till to death. To death. Smushed his face, bro, and made it look like it was some sort of paper bag. They did that all because in this land, they have the prerogative, they have the right, they have the go ahead, the inclination, and the will with the desire to make our lives miserable for no other reason. Why would they do that to a 14-year-old child? What reason would they have to do that? None. But I tell you what, though, Because we're in this land and our heritage is misery, they cannot ask us to act as if it's been anything other than that. You can't even sing a so-called black national anthem. I didn't even know Lift Every Voice was that. I just knew that was a song that black people at churches sang from time to time. That I learned at my school choir when I was a little boy. From a black music teacher, by the way. Right. We can't even have that. That's how miserable they want us. You can't even have you can't even lift, you can't even sing a song called Lift Every Voice. That's how bigoted they are and hateful. That's the land we live in. They want you to be so miserable, brother. They want you to be so hateful of yourself that anything that's associated with you, other than those that may not be you, right? So if it's LeBron, Shaq, those kind of guys, we worship the ground they walk on, right? Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy how they do that? But a man like Coach Prime attempt to do anything for black people, and I didn't appreciate him leaving Jackson State like that. But all in the same breath, all in the same token, he will never get the same love and accolades that a guy, let's say, like Wilt Chamberlain gets, a guy like Michael Jordan gets. Even though there's a debate to be had that Deion Sanders was one of the greatest, if not the greatest athlete the NFL ever seen. Right. There's a few other guys you could make the conversation for. He's the GOAT, right? Of this sport or whatever. But would they compare this? And I'm not disrespecting a guy like Will at all. Is a big, strong, powerful man. Right on. But he played basketball. Right on. I'm not saying he couldn't have played football, but he played basketball. Let's not get it twisted here, folks. The gladiators who play football, some of the greatest ones, not over 6 feet tall, and just a little bit above that when they are. But some of the greatest dudes you ever knew to play the game were not hella tall. Emmitt Smith, not a big dude. Barry Sanders, not a big man by any stretch of anyone's imagination. Right on? Okay? They're not these hulking giants. Yeah, 6'2" is kind of tall, but that's not 7 foot. You know what I mean? Like some of the best dudes we ever seen play the game, though, were regular sized people, and they will never be put on the pedestal like these big, tall other athletes are. Right, 5'9", that's regular size, brother. That's regular average height. That's regular average height. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of badass dudes who played football who could never have played basketball who were just right around that height. Right on? Filthy. You know what I'm saying? When I say filthy, filthy. Earl Thomas is what? 5'8". That's one of the best safeties I ever seen play the game. The man's 5'8", not 6'2", not 6'1", or even 6 foot even playing safety. The man was 5'8". Word? Straight stud out there. Oh, bro, I believe. Hey, man, being not tall don't mean you're not strong, baby. It don't mean you're not strong now. You know, you know. Shoot, that's what I'm saying though, bro. Is we're looked at differently being in a regular body, so they'll never look at us and say, "Oh, that guy right there is a mighty person." One of the greatest warriors people know about this side of Jesus for sure. Oh, that's right, bro. Take it easy. Get it there. Get it there and get it right, baby. Get it there and get it right. That's what I'm talking about. It's the same. Look, man, this is just a big old poofy jacket, man. You know what I'm saying? But I know what you're talking about, bro. You gotta look. You work for it. You do the time. You put that time in for yours. You ain't got to explain yourself to me. But Mike Tyson is what listed at 5'10", right? One of the most feared people. You know what I mean? Like, we can make the argument if he had never had any of those distractions in his life, he possibly goes undefeated. He doesn't start doing cocaine and stuff like that. The man probably never loses a fight. We could make that argument. One of the greatest we've ever seen do it. Right. But you have to be exceptional. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying I'm not exceptional. I'm not saying that you're not exceptional. I'm saying that our exceptional abilities are not highlighted in this society. So what we're exceptional at is not something that people are even worried about or concerned with. That's it. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but it's really and 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 it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt when these dudes are 6'8", 6'9", and they're super talented. So when you're like LeBron, you're 6'8", 6'9", but you can move like you're a dude who's about 5'11", 6 foot. Now you're big and tall and you're exceptional. So now you're not just a big body who's using their big body like a big body, you know? Yeah. I I I'm with you and I understand that. And goes into the misery of this land that we're in, bro. We're not taught to reach and get that exceptional part out of ourselves. Nobody teaches us how to do that. We have to learn how to do that. We have to learn how to cultivate that. I've known a few dudes that were pretty tall, bro. I grew up with a few guys that were really tall, but the tallest person I seen recently that I can think of, this dude was like 7 feet tall, man. This is probably about 4 months ago. Big old tall Italian dude, right on. He he was at least 6'10", but he looked to be all 7 feet. Big old goofy looking, funny built dude. But I can guarantee you, but because he's so tall, everybody kisses ass. They don't. I mean, but what's there to take advantage of? The earth is already going to cater to you, right? You're going to get a job. You're going to get a job just because you're tall. They're just gonna hire you, right on. Hey, watch your head. Make sure you don't bump your head on that. That's it. He's hired just because he's tall, for no other reason. I've seen it a million one times. Oh, well, white got that. I mean, that's how white guys get the job. He's 6'4", 6'5", right? You know what I mean? He's a washed up has been athlete who was never that good. It don't matter now though, right on? Because now he's the manager. Don't matter now because now he's the manager. Just like that. And it ain't no hater shit. That's just the truth of the matter. They built it like this. Former felon. Yep. Yep. They'll do it. But hey, I mean, listen, women women, yeah, women are gonna go for people who look nice at the end of the day, right on. Like they might have wanted the tall dude at first, but when they start thinking about, do I really want my babies to look like this dude? Now, if they want tall children, they'll say, damn the looks. They don't even care. They'll run the gambit. But when they really want their children to look a certain way, they're gonna go talk to certain dudes because they're like, I want to be with somebody who I want my babies to look good. That's all the chicks I've ever known, I've ever been with, have always ever said that to me about the babies. Right on is that, you know, I want my babies to look good. Now, like I said, if she just want some tall, whatever, some old goof troop looking ass dudes, she got to take what she can get. Okay, because there's a bunch of tall, funny looking people out there. Uh, but that's anything, but that's anything in this life, brother. We can go anywhere because we have the ability to shine, because we have the ability to do what we're supposed to do. We can be the one that finds favor when we didn't think we were going to find favor, because the Most High God will give us favor. I mean, you can't even sweat that, brother. Don't matter. It don't matter. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that pops passed away. My pops passed away last year. I'm sorry to hear that, brother. Yeah. That look, man. The choose factor will always get you in there. Okay, you ain't even got to get complicated with it. The choose factor will always get you in there. But I'm saying this though. Do you realize how different things would be if we just lived in a different land where my father's a fisherman, I'm a fisherman. This chick likes fishermen. Right on. She doesn't care for warriors. She doesn't care for guys that make their own wine. She doesn't care for dudes who plant gardens. Right on. This chick is like, I want a nigga who can make fish every day. Bake my I can eat like this every day. I want to be able to eat some kind of meat like that every day. Her opposite. Let's say she like niggas who are gardeners and shit like that, right? And that's what you do, you know? Like, we don't live in a society that caters to that, bro. The chick that you was able to get, I mean, even if he's large and active, you can't even listen. Don't worry. That thing right there, I don't care how big he is. I don't care how big he is, bro. His chin has never lifted weights ever. A fit anybody is more dangerous than the unfit one. If a nigga's 10 feet tall, but he's out of shape versus a nigga who's 10 feet tall and in shape, guess who I'm picking to win that fight? You got it, the 10 footer who's in shape. It's just, it's just what it is, bro. I'm not gonna say he's gonna win every time, but if look, you're a warrior by nature. I can see it in your demeanor. I can see that you have a lot on your chest, right? Brother, I'm gonna be at it again here real soon in the next couple days, right? I really am. I know I am. I'm not sure what this next piece is gonna be on. I typically have an idea about it, but this has been a more interesting uh dialogue, not so much a lesson that I might give because you've been so involved, and it's been a long time, since I just stopped and just chopped it up like this, which is really good for me to do because I would rather engage with people than not engage with people. There's a part where I've shared enough information, you know. Oh, of course, brother. Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't ever want you to feel like there's an obligation. You will never hear me beg for no likes, no monies, no sharing, no subscribe. You'll never hear me beg for none of that. Never, because I feel like what I'm bringing to the table is so unique, is so different, and is so profound. Those who don't get in on it, right on, they're missing out. I'm not missing out by them not being here. You feel me, brother? I'm God is very wise. The creator of heaven and earth is very wise. I'm a I'm I'm all right. On my best days, I'm pretty good. But I'm all right, brother. I like to think sometimes I'm intelligent. I like to think sometimes I'm wise, but I do some unwise and some unintelligent things. So I'm not gonna sit here and let you tell me that because I know me. Right on. I know me. but I do appreciate you seeing that I have a couple of redeeming qualities. Uh, in yourself are wise, yourself intelligent. I can see that you know things, especially about Sir Ellison. That might be something that I want to talk about going forward because that was a very that went directly into what I had spoke on earlier. Yeah, William Ellison. Yeah, 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 yeah. That dude. Yeah, Willie. Yeah, Willie. I'm gonna start calling him Willie. Yeah, because Willie ain't he ain't shit. You know he ain't. But see, but that's the thing though. Black people have this perception that we were only enslaved by other races. The Native Americans took part in enslaving us. Obviously, other black people took part, or what we call black, took part in enslaving us, and everybody in between. And and not just that, but the people on the plantation who would. It's not that confusing. It's just a lot to take in. I don't think it's so confusing as to say we're not the same people as them. It's less confusing when you say that. When you say William Ellison was probably a black native or an Ethiopian or something like that. If you follow a Moroccan, he was not an Afro black person. Okay, confuses you. That's fair. But I'm saying I think that it's that okay. But you have to look at it from a stance of don't think like today. We can't put today on yesterday. You get what I mean, brother? So when you say who's who, it's simple. Look at the situation and the position people are in. That tells us everything. I understand that. You want to know specific bloodlines, specific. That's honorable, understandable, and agreeable. I'm saying this though. If all we have is a general gist to go on, the generalization is wiser than making us all one conglomerate. You follow what I'm saying? It's safer to say that if a black person looks like this, in general, they come from this type of bloodline. If they look like this, in general, they come from this kind of bloodline. I.e., the same thing. No, I have not. I have not. But I'm sure I'm sure I've seen or I've heard things from it. You know what I mean? Um, Go ahead and tell me what human means. I know human was created, brother. You're talking to the right man. Check this right here out. Check this right here out. I'm gonna do you a solid, and then I'm gonna end on this note. Hold tight. Hold tight. Hold tight now. Hold tight. Because you're about to get ahead of yourself. We're gonna go Google and human etymology. One moment, my brother. Oh, shucky ducky now. See, you done started some stuff. 1 second. And I try not to do this for every little piece of information that there's something that I know about, but this is one of the things that I'm very, very adamant and very passionate about. No. Okay. Now it's not going to be here, right? But read it now. Mid 15th century, humane, hu- humane, humans, human from Old French humane or belonging to man from Latinist humanus of man, human, also humane, philanthropic, kind, gentle, polite, right? Learn, refine, civilized. This is part of the whatever, whatever, la di da. But let's just go back to this 12th century, 15th century. Not sure if you knew this. The word human is based on Latin words. Uh, because I don't use the word human. You probably have only heard me say it a couple of times since I've been talking, and I've said that I don't use the word human before I say it. The word human is derived from, they say, two different Latin words. It's humas and humanas. And I just read them both to you. But before it was human, they say. But the problem is this: the word humas is believed to have thought to be person. And the word humanas, as you just read, just saw, is supposed to be of a person. So my question is to you is, why do you need a word that means person when you could just say person? You follow me? Now, when you say it means to own no land, a monster, and they use it to the court of law, you have to follow me. I don't disagree that a human is a monster. I don't disagree that it means to own no land. What I will say is this, is that the individuals that created and propagated that word are the same monsters and the individuals who didn't own any land and the same people who you said yourself earlier invaded and took those lands over. I've never claimed, but I see for the last 3 years strong, for the last 3 years strong, I've been going hard against that word human. It's been a crusade. It's been a crusade. No, you're good. You good. You good. You don't gotta be sorry to me. I'm just saying from that's what I'm saying, brother. For me, right? Because you don't know me, and I'm just letting you know. Everybody used to say they're human, but every time I hear the word now, I cringe. I cringe when I hear people say human. I cringe. It makes me cringe, bro. It's like it's like hearing an old man telling a young lady she got a fat ass. It's like, you old nasty nigga, calm down. You feel me? Leave her for somebody else. Don't worry, brother. Hopefully, when they come and they watch this video, they get to see this dialogue, uh, and they get to understanding that this is, I mean, this is it. This is what people don't want to hear, but they need to hear. Right on. Part of our misery is being forced to call ourselves a word that is a make believe word. That takes away from our peoplehood, takes away from our manhood, takes away from our sister's womanhood, takes away from our baby's childhood, takes away from us. It doesn't give to us. And they think they sound smart when they say words like humanity, right? Humanization. I used to use that word all the time. Try to say I have to humanize the Bible. I used to think I used to believe I used to humanize it. But now I'm gonna peopleize the Bible. I'm gonna make it personal. I'll just get the Law's Black Dictionary myself and I'll read it and I'll just come to my own understanding. You know, um, not that they can't teach me anything, but I've just come to the point of my life where if they don't look like me, I really don't trust them at all. Right on. I trust people who look like me, boy, before I trust anybody else. Period. period. Because I've had people who look like me who ain't got a dollar, a cent to their name ride for me. Okay. And I mean, make people bleed. And I didn't have to ask them to do it. They just done it all on their own. So I'm always going to ride for my people because I know at the end of the day, they ain't got to get nothing out of it. They going to do what's right because it's right. And I'm going to do what's right all and the same vice versa. If I got to make somebody bleed, I don't want to make them bleed. But if they do something that's worth making them bleed over, well, they shouldn't have been fucking with Brother Watkins. That's all I can say. That's my first real Freudian slip saying something crazy like that. So I know it's that time for me to get up out. But look, my brother, if you come back again, you'll see this all the time. This is what I do, brother. I've been doing this for years. I salute you. I salute you again, brother. And I salute you once more. May tomorrow be better than today. And may your next week be better than your last. You be blessed, brother. Like I said, I love my people, bro. Just met you. I love you, my brother. And I pray that everything goes well, brother. And I pray that you continue to keep up the fight and keep your spirit up and keep your heart up and keep your soul up because they want us to give up. Don't ever forget, brother, that our heritage in this land is misery.